keeping our fingers crossed as it goes into the Facebook Live. Boom. Should be there now.
Meeting is now streaming live on Facebook. Yay.
Yeah.
Right, wider. All right, everybody, welcome to Dueling Aces for June 10th. We have officially made it through a lot of severe weather, most of us. One lucky person on this panel has yet to experience the disaster, but we'll make sure that he gets his fair share. Won't you, Andrew?
I'll be waiting for it tomorrow morning. Hopefully it doesn't wake me up overnight.
Well, we'd like to thank our special guest, Ryan Rua, for joining us this evening as we sit around and shoot the breeze and talk about, touch on a little bit of basketball and a whole lot of baseball and the fun times that Mr. Rua has had.
Hey, first, I didn't know we had theme music. That was cool.
We've had enough for.
I haven't heard it the last few times. I hadn't heard it. That was interesting.
Yeah, he hasn't heard it the past couple of weeks.
Yeah.
He's missed out on it the past couple of weeks. So
Yeah,
it's pretty nice.
Can I start with a hard-hitting question for Ryan?
Well, how about we go through the intros? Suds, Zolt, already introduced. We've got, wow, we went with Brass Monkey.
That funky monkey.
Well,
that funky monkey.
All righty.
I was wondering how long it was going to take before somebody noticed that one.
We go from.
Oh, I did. I was waiting for go live.
Brass Monkey. All righty. Colleen, glad to see that you could tag in. I took care of the situation. Thank you very much, Mr. Zolt. Took care of that setting after we found out Facebook reset some things. That's an annoyance. We've got Andrew, who's over on the East Coast. Akers safely made it into Sandusky, going through a few trees,
few power lines, a few houses.
Yeah, just like Twister. Yeah,
we're not in Kansas anymore.
Cow.
No, that was the same cow.
I love that movie. Beef.
Hi to Matt, Clint. Thanks for jumping in. Colleen says, Zolt, my brother from another mother. Nice.
We can read the same messages this time.
Yes, sir, we can. And keeping fingers crossed as everybody shares through, all the questions will come right into the same page. That will be excellent. All right, Suds. You turned around and said you've got a hard-hitting question right off the bat, but we got to come to you and get this basketball update. You want to fill us in on what the heck's going on?
Everything I said last week happened. Every last thing. They came in with 22 teams are coming in. They're going to have 16 regular season games, then go to playoffs. They're going to have a round robin play-in for the last two spots with 6 teams closest to the 8th spot. Then they're going to start their playoffs. And currently, to my knowledge and what I've seen so far, they're going to hold it at Disney World and keep everybody isolated. There is arguments going on right now, especially from the Lakers about the isolation and concerns about the coronavirus and being isolated there the whole time. But as of right now, it's a go. It looks like it's going to start. They said July 31st will be the beginning. Whether or not they play directly on July 31st or start August 1st, I'm not sure. I haven't read nor have they come out with who's playing who. But as of right now, they're doing the money grab. They're going after the cash, and we'll have basketball back August 1st.
Are they also doing the playoffs at Disney? Or
Everything's going down right there. They're isolated. They're going to stay isolated. That's how they're going to try to get through this.
Okay. And as we found out there are 6 courts there.
Yeah.
So are they basically, for this extension, are they actually looking to put almost like 2 games a day?
They haven't actually come out with a schedule at all. There is not a schedule out yet, to my knowledge. They haven't said how they're going to go about it and how the TV is going to go about it. Obviously, certain TV networks will be interested in doing this and putting it on air. And I think it's going to be I think the next step will be negotiation with them about what games and what times. Because clearly you're going to want 8 o'clock games, but if you're running, during the week, you're going to want those games on TV as much as possible for that money grab. So I think it's going to come to negotiation with TNT and
PBS, I think, wouldn't it be?
Yeah.
Hey, PBS or TBS?
TBS.
Is
Broadcasting Network.
Is ESPN going to be broadcasting any of the games, or is just Turner Network?
Turner.
That's surprising.
Well, up until the playoffs.
Yeah,
playoffs would be something different.
It goes to a different. They have what's that?
Does he own the Hawks also?
Oh,
I know he's got the Braves, and I know he's got a portion of the Falcons. Does he have a portion of the Hawks also?
I don't know.
He's only got a minor piece of the Falcons.
Okay, that's right. I knew that. Yeah.
He's only got he's a minor ownership for the Falcons.
It's interesting that they're going to be having it at Disney because of the whole ESPN thing, like in the ownership of ESPN, and that ESPN wouldn't have any of the broadcast rights, but that may be a NBA thing versus a Disney thing.
Well, there's contracts involved.
Yeah.
There's already an established contract. If you want to have a fight with those networks about who's broadcasting, the games, you're going to be in for a fight. I mean, they've paid millions upon millions of dollars to broadcast these shows, especially the Turner, who has you got Barkley and all of them. They got a lot of invested, and they want those games. And if you try to switch it up on them, you're going to end up in court. And you're probably going
when
to
they
lose.
Win? Do they get to say we're going to Disney? Oh wait,
they're there. they're gonna say we're gonna go to Disneyland.
Yeah. Wow.
Instead of being at Disney World, they're gonna go to Disneyland.
Is that us or them?
This is stupid.
So, anyways. But yeah, it was. They came across last week and it's going to go on August 1st, and hopefully they'll be in good shape and ready to go by then. There's no word due to the fact that every state has different things going on for the coronavirus. Not every team can start their practices due to the restrictions.
But didn't they say that they were having people could go into their facilities now locally?
It depends on which. NBA could say whatever the hell they want, but it's up to the governor. They have to follow the governor's guidelines. So if the governor says then it's So you can say whatever you want, but the governors and the state have the last call on when they open up things. If a team is able to use if it's already been approved and the state says it's okay, like right now, I believe in Michigan, if the Pistons were involved, which they're not, they could go right in and start their practicing, but they're going to be sitting home until next year, and good luck to them. But the Lakers, I believe the Lakers can start. The other team, a lot of the other teams, but some of the teams are still restricted. I'm wondering whether or not some of the teams will actually move their practices out of state in order to accommodate that.
Why not move down to Florida, where everything's going to be held at anyway, and just have like a rotating practice schedule?
Well, you can have multiple teams practice at one. I mean,
Yeah,
like we said we had 6, but nobody's made that move yet.
Yeah, you got 6 courts. You're probably going to be using 2 of them for your live events. You know, your actual games. That leaves 4 open. So there's your practice facilities.
I'm wondering if we're gonna see a lot more weekend games than we normally do. Running possibly 4 games during the weekends versus usually, we'll look on TV, you only see a couple games usually, 3 or 4 games. You could probably see 6 or 8 games to get them all on TV, because that's where they're going to get their money.
Yeah, I mean, we are definitely in uncharted territory, so
nothing
is possible.
And like, they haven't put out a schedule yet. There's no schedule out, so they're in negotiations and they're in discussions about the best way to optimize the money, because every dollar that they can get goes to both of them, the players and the owners. So I think they're looking to optimize their cash flow.
I did see that came out late this afternoon about it had to have been addressing player concerns that players will not be punished if they choose to not go to Orlando. They will be docked their pay, obviously.
I would say that's a punishment.
But there will be no other, as far as just.
So it's not like an infraction or anything like that.
Hey, Doug, if I took away $7 million, do you feel punished?
Yeah, that's punishment enough.
Okay. So just to let's not get it frosty. That's a punishment.
No additional punishment.
Okay, fair enough. That's a fair enough statement.
Yeah, $7 million. That hurts. That's going to hurt big time.
If it was LeBron, it's $6.5 million a game if he doesn't participate. So that's a fucking punishment.
Ouch. Yeah, massively. I mean, big time.
But then, so you penalize me for $7 million. If I'm making $40 million a year, I'm really not going to miss it.
But you're not getting that money. You're losing all. You're not getting any money. Zero. You got what you got at the very beginning for the season that they played. Right now, you're getting nothing. Zero. If you play, you get the $6 million. If you don't play, you don't get nothing. That's a punishment.
Colleen, Mike's eating his dinner. He's eating his Taco Bell. He's starving.
Taco hell! Oh my god!
He couldn't wait anymore.
Nope, couldn't wait anymore. It's a cheesy bean and rice burrito off the dollar menu, and the chicken quesadilla. Chicken.
Hey man, no.
Hoping you got some free commercials.
If you can't spell your name correct, Zoltz won't know how to say it.
Akers, I'm hoping you got some Baja Blast to go with that, because there's honestly
the green Baja Blast. I don't like
what.
Hey,
where's Ryan? Where's Ryan when you need him? I mean, come on. If he's not joining, George, you need to tell me, because I'll drop it. I'll drop it today.
Yeah, go ahead, Andrew. You can absolutely.
Sorry, Akers, but fuck you, Akers. I mean, if you don't like the Baja, I gotta stick up for Ryan today. Sorry.
Yeah, and that officially kicks off the show.
Now we started.
Now we can get started, because somebody's finally called him out. Beautiful.
Welcome, Mike Kermeen and Sean Reed and Eric Lewacki for joining. Like we said before, if you guys have any questions, please ask Eric. That question will be asked later. I don't know if Ryan, can you read the answer board or the questionnaires too, or are you not looking at the Facebook page?
No, I'm not on the Facebook page. No.
Okay, stay off the Facebook page. Don't ask those questions.
We'll catch up. We will catch up everybody's
question, Eric. That question will be asked. Don't worry.
That's probably one of the main interesting burning questions we've got. So.
I gotta go. I want to hit my question first, though.
All
right, Suds does. By the way, Suds does not do baseball,
So for us to handcuff him to his computer for this is a very large task. You know.
Yeah, but fortunately, Ryan's making this one real easy. Okay, so I'm looking behind you, and I'm seeing what appears to be a U of M helmet and is that Browns?
That is a
helmet?
Browns. Yep.
So do you root for any team that wins?
Wait, that's not true.
I'm
Then
just
you can't
wondering.
root for that team over there up north.
Yeah,
I mean, how the hell are you even allowed in Cleveland with a U of M helmet?
Well,
I thought this shit was banned.
When I signed on, I saw Zolt's Block M in the background, so I figured it'd be a pretty good interview.
We're good to go.
So you went down the road real quick and bought that U of M helmet for like 4 cents?
I was
Put it up there?
I was just raised the right way, even though I grew up in Ohio.
Nice.
That's a good answer, though.
But
That was my only question.
I had a feeling that was going to be the question.
Yeah.
I had a feeling.
Oh, especially coming from Suds is like, oh, I got a burning question. Well, go right ahead.
You knew it wasn't going to be about baseball.
Yeah, that's why I was like, oh, this should be interesting.
I was going on with soccer.
Yeah,
soccer's worse. I wouldn't even talk. I'd be off. I'd be getting a beer.
He'd be gone.
Bye. See ya.
See you later.
He loves Tua, who was drafted in Miami.
Tuna.
He calls him Tuna because he
That's
can't
his name,
pronounce
Tuna.
it.
Yeah,
Oh,
Suds
man,
is
Greg,
also the one who wants everybody to make sure they get a baby book and use real freaking names.
Yeah.
So-
See, your name is Ryan. You qualify as your parents obviously got the baby book out and picked the page.
I'm glad I passed that test.
Yeah. I wouldn't have went first. I'd have to figure out 20 minutes to figure out how to say your damn name. At work the other day, so we were talking about somebody that was at our place, and they kept on bringing his name. I couldn't ever pronounce this guy's name. I spent like 6 months practicing his name. I could never get his name right. I called him something completely different.
Is this the boxer we're talking about?
So.
No. All right, Mike, you want to get this kicked off?
Sure.
You got your.
Let me pull it up real quick, because like I said, I was on the fly doing everything.
I got one for you, Ryan.
Are you starting? We're just going into.
What?
We're just make sure we're right. We're going into the questions
on.
first, and you're going to cut us off later.
This is a small miracle. Suds has
I noticed that you went to a kind of well, obviously you made the majors, so you clearly have a lot of talent, but you went to a rather small college. Did you have any bigger offers? Did you decide just to stay in Ohio?
Yeah, so physically, I wasn't mature. I didn't think I was mature enough yet to play at the D1 level.
Yeah.
Majority of my offers were D3 Ohio schools, smaller Ohio schools, and Lake Erie kind of came along and was in the process of going from D3 to D2, which intrigued me. They were losing their shortstop, and head coach basically told me when I stepped foot on campus, I would be the shortstop. So I had a D2 offer, and the other big thing for me was playing right away and not sitting for 3 or 4 years and maybe playing a little bit somewhere my senior year. So those were, two of the main factors of me going there.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive to go from that small of school to the major leagues. How long were you in the minors for?
So drafted in 2011, debuted in 2014. So my minor league stint was pretty quick actually for a D2 17th rounder. Ended up being, let's see, 4.5 years in the minors, 3.5 years in the big leagues, all with Texas. So
tell me you kept those damn minor league hats. Those things are the coolest things on the planet. They come up with the craziest names. You keep them?
Yeah, yep. We still have. I know my mom has them for sure. But yeah, they do come up with some good promotions and good ideas, some good nicknames and stuff like that too.
When my brother did his traveling thing and my dad went along with him, every place he went, he picked up one of their hats, and he came up with the craziest hats.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just awesome.
Suds, I gotta agree with you on that. What the hell is a mud hen? It's Toledo Mud Hens. What the hell is a mud hen?
It's
They-
your
they
guys' farm club. What are you making fun of us for?
I'm just saying, and like your son said, they come up with the craziest names. Like, what is a mud hen? Like, I agree. Like some of the minor league teams, the names they come up with their teams are just insane.
Yeah.
Now wait a minute, Ryan. So what was the craziest one that you had come across?
I'm trying to think. They would do some promotions and stuff like that where we'd play. I don't know who it was, Albuquerque or someone in AAA, or like Chupacabras or Fresno Tacos or different things like that. Just for promotional stuff on taco night or whatever and stuff like that. But
How many
Those
of your
bathrooms were backed up?
how many of your fellow baseball players yelled "stuff it in their taco"? At least one of them did it, didn't they?
not that I know of.
They missed out. They might have gotten kicked off the team or missed a game or two for that one though.
It's all right.
Funded toward the taco.
Will not stay back if I don't have it clip in it.
Correct.
Ask Ryan who the toughest pitcher he faced off with.
Put that in it.
That's a good question. Thanks, Mike.
TC Sabathia.
So I have to have it clip in it in order.
Yeah, I mean, there's
Don't lead.
God,
No leading, Mike. Not talking to you. No leading.
we have some good arms in the AL West. Obviously, Garrett Cole and Verlander, my last couple of years. Felix in Seattle. I'm trying to think who else. Blake Trinan for Oakland. Oakland's closer. Came over from the Nationals, gave me a lot of trouble. I mean, just a huge dude, 100-mile-per-hour power sinker. Looked like he was throwing 50% effort. Couldn't do anything with it. If I had to say anyone, I'd say Blake Trinan. I think he might have been an all-star last year or the year before with Oakland as their closer.
And pull your finger there, pull the thing out.
Akers, go ahead, man. I'm going to check the board. Go ahead.
Sure. So with no season so far, how have you been staying in shape and keeping up with your skills?
With me, I pretty much hung them up. I'm here with the family now in Amherst. Getting to watch my two kids grow up. My son is 3. My daughter just turned 1. Been on the road a lot the past, actually my whole life pretty much since high school ball started. So I'm kind of relaxing.
You don't see yourself returning to the majors anytime soon?
No. I mean, I had a decision to make in 2018. Texas was going to take me up to 40-man and offer me a AAA spot if I wanted that. With the amount of service time I had, I was eligible to elect free agency on my own. I talked with my agent and went over some things. And we were pretty confident someone would pick me up and put me on their 40-man roster. Obviously, that was one of the worst free agent years in a long time, and we were close with a couple teams. And then they made some trades literally hours after, and nothing ended up working out. So I've pretty much been done for a year and a half, 2 years almost now.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I noticed that you were on a DL stint on and off. How's the back now?
I was pretty bad. In the minor leagues, I think I was very lucky. I think I contributed to part of my success rising so fast and making it to the big leagues. In the big leagues, I was banged up. I think my first opening day, I ended up breaking my foot in like the first inning at Texas against Houston, and I was out for a couple months. So that kind of wiped out my first full season. But yeah, the back feels as good as it's ever felt right now.
I bet $1 to a donut though. How many high school teams around your area is begging you to come coach? Or are you already coaching?
No, I was helping out with my local team, my local high school I went to a little bit, just talking to those guys, and they do have a very good program at Amherst.
You're a Major League Baseball player in your area. You gotta pick them up. Gotta get them out there coaching.
Yeah, it's definitely in the future plans. Whether it's high school or college coaching, I'm enjoying working with the kids around here in this area that I grew up into.
You definitely could make a career out of that if you chose to.
We'll see how it goes.
Go ahead, Doug. Didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're perfectly fine. Going back to the minors for a second, and all these minor leaguers are being released. Do you see them at all coming back? And if not, where do you see the future of the MLB farm system and the teams that would be possibly lost? Do you see them joining like an existing independent league or forming one on their own?
Yeah, you know, I sure hope that something is formed for those guys. Obviously, money plays a role in everything we do, and these big league franchises are kind of looking at it now as some of their smaller minor league teams where they don't get a lot of revenue coming in, don't have a lot of fans in the stands, but they still have to support and pay for everything that goes into it. So, I mean, I understand both sides. You know, if you're a minor leaguer and
like some of the low-A type teams.
right, yeah, like cities that are in the middle of nowhere, or like I think I played in like Yakima, Washington, and there maybe been 10 fans in the stands. And then, you know, you play in places like Memphis or other big cities like Nashville, and there's thousands, you know, upon thousands, and it's definitely a big difference, a big gap. So, I mean, I guess I can see where some of these organizations are looking at it to more so save money, especially now with the coronavirus situation and things going on. If it's something they look at in the future, but I do hope that you know, the draft goes back to normal and these kids do have an opportunity to you know, fulfill their dreams and play professional baseball somehow. Obviously, with only 5 rounds this year, it'll be tough, and a lot of kids will miss out. So hopefully, those guys do get that chance.
Yeah, because with all the teams that are involved, and including the players and the coaches and the physical trainers, that's a lot of jobs on the line there.
Yeah, definitely a lot of jobs. I mean, you know, the people working in the stadiums, the vendors, things, everything. Yes, it's a big deal.
We got a question from Chaz. He said, what was it like coming back to Cleveland to play in front of the hometown, in front of family and friends?
Definitely one of my more memorable moments, just because I was at, you know, I call it Jacobs Field. I don't think I'll ever call it Progressive Field.
Always the Jake.
Yeah, thank you.
To me, but you know, hundreds upon hundreds of times growing up. So to be able to play there in a big league game with friends, family, former coaches, former teammates in the stands was a very cool experience for me.
Well, since the question's got to be asked, how did you do though in that game?
I think I want to say first time there, I doubled off Tomlin.
There you go. That's all you have to do.
1 for 3 is a 3-3-3.
You get a double. You're golden.
Yep. And then I think maybe the second time I was there, I ended up homering off Trevor Bauer, tie the game in the 7th. So I had some good at bats in Cleveland. So that makes it even sweeter.
That makes it special.
Yep.
Oh yeah. What, in front of your hometown?
So I got another question,
Yep.
and you've left this part out, obviously for a reason. You played for the Hickory Crawdads.
Mm-hmm.
What was their mascot? You got to tell me. What the hell did it look like?
I mean, it looked like any. I want to say crawdad, so it had claws, had tentacles, anything like that. About as generic as a crawdad looks. I mean, they don't look any different, so I don't know what the hell to say to you.
Exactly that. You should have had a side bet. Losers had to wear the crawdad outfit.
Yeah.
I'm impressed. That's 3 questions out of Suds already.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm retired. It's more than 3 questions, damn it.
Oh, sorry, Zold. I jumped in there with the, like I said, I'm running through. The chat is really busy.
Yeah, I see that.
Half L. All right, Half L. I'll have to check that out later.
Are you going to say Colleen's, or you want to
want another jersey? What team was Ryan's dream team to sign with?
Obviously would have liked to play for Cleveland. I think three teams that I knew had the most interest in me that I chose to work out for pre-draft workouts. And it was Cleveland. Cleveland was there a lot. Obviously, it was local, so it was easy for them to be at my college and watch me and stuff like that. And then I flew to Texas and flew to St. Louis and did workouts for those two teams as well. So those were the two teams that showed me the most interest that I had. That made the most sense to me to work out for.
Could you just not break a deal with Cleveland, or you just? Now I know you said you wanted to just give it up no more. You did 5 years, 279 games that you played in the majors, and that was one of them. I was asking George. I said, think about it. I mean, as a free agent, you have a choice to go anywhere you want, as long as you or the bar club have come up to an agreement on making it. But you ever thought about trying out for them just to see if they didn't want to do nothing, or finish that?
I mean, it kind of goes both ways. If they had that interest in you too, I mean, if it was Cleveland, it would have been perfect. I obviously could have lived at home and drove 30, 35 minutes to the ballpark back and forth every day. But going
off your stats from what you had, you obviously would fit in the roster. I mean, there's multiple people you've beaten on the Indians roster, even down in the Akron Arrows, that you could be in Cleveland. So that was, thinking about, would you, if you had a chance to go back at it again, that you're fully healed, your back's ready to go at it again, would you just call the Indians and say, can I have a shot maybe, or talk about a deal?
Yeah. I mean, it would definitely be a situation where, the agency looked at everyone's rosters and, what move made sense or what team made sense for me. And at the same time, Cleveland does have a bunch of young outfielders who are very similar to one another, fast, speedy, contact outfielders. I think, one of my comparisons was, Brandon Guyer, play against lefties, or like a Ryan Rayburn, play against lefties, give some guys some days off if they need days off, play multiple positions, all three in the outfield, first base, something like that. But at the same time nowadays, it seems like these teams, not necessarily Cleveland, but teams that aren't in contention or know they're not going to be in contention, aren't going to pay me, let's say, $1.5 million to play 50, 60 games when they can bring someone up in their own farm system and pay them the minimum just to save money, is, kind of what it seems like to me.
I'm kind of reading here. Did you throw a few innings?
Hey, don't jump the gun. You didn't check your emails. You didn't have time.
Again.
He doesn't know how to work.
We have a whole sheet, brother.
I had to mail it to him.
Covered. We got it covered. We got everything covered.
So
I just saw that. That was cool.
The package.
Yeah, we'll get there. We're getting there. We're getting there. Zolt, you're up.
All right. So considering the MLB and the Players Association have been having rather public negotiations, and with NBA basically with a deal, NHL basically with a deal, and there's going to be that competition that usually isn't there in the summer. Mm-hmm. What do you think MLB can do to ensure that their fans will be there, even though they can't technically be there?
Yeah, I mean, that is a good question. I know whether it's baseball, basketball, or football, people are dying for sports right now and need it, just to get on with their normal activities and normal lives, whether it's going there or going with the group and going out to eat beforehand and having some drinks and then going to the game, or having drinks at the game, or sitting in your basement bar having drinks with your family and friends. It's been eye-opening to see how much sports, obviously we know they play a big role in our lives, but even more so now if it's been so long. So I hope something does get worked out. Obviously the NBA being the first is, a step in the right direction. For me, I'm hoping college football works out so I can get up to Ann Arbor and get in the big house. And then, the NFL obviously too, with the Browns and their hype again this year, has us all excited.
So you did lie to us. You are a Michigan fan.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Shame on you.
It's all right, Ryan.
He's a-
This is giving Suds a chance to actually watch some soccer on ESPN and actually embrace the international sports. So I know
Yeah.
he lies to all of us, but we know he's watching Bayern Munich play on ESPN during the day. So
Yeah, waking up. late.
I'm so desperate for sports. There's a show called Outlaw Racing. I've been binge watching that shit. I'm desperate.
Wow.
Street Outlaws, or are you just talking about outlaws?
Yeah, Street Outlaws. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm
You
desperate.
haven't fallen down the rabbit hole to marble racing yet, have you?
Marble racing?
oh, I saw that too.
Look it up. Look it up.
Marble racing. Hold on.
Oh no!
Will,
We
you
just
look it up.
created a
We'll
monster
move
here.
forward.
We'll continue.
Go ahead and mute him
You-
because
you-
once he finds
mute-
out, he's yelling.
So-
You might want to put the mute on in a second here.
Oh my God.
So
Akers,
Marble
Ryan.
racing, huh?
Akers, we'll let him look up marble racing. You can
Yeah.
continue.
Ryan, as a free agent, obviously that's got to feel a bit like just being in limbo in normal circumstances. How about in a time like this where minor league teams are being cut? We don't know exactly what the sport's going to look like when it comes back. It's got to be an interesting feeling.
Yeah, I feel, with this situation, and you guys know how minor league pay is in general. You've seen the battles that go back and forth with trying to raise the wages and stuff like that. And it keeps getting longer and longer. I mean, these guys have to get jobs. They have to have some sort of income. They're not getting a whole lot of help. I think Shin-Soo Choo ended up paying each Rangers minor leaguer, like throwing him $1,000 or something like that. There's a story I saw. So people are trying to help them out, but at the same time, I'm sure a lot of these guys are getting jobs and they have to stay ready for whenever they do start again. So they're probably pretty busy.
I was going to say, I remember when the Crushers first came in here that we met up with Andrew Saylor and Gordy Gronkowski and, finding out, these guys, even those two guys were semi-local. They had a place to go, but everybody else who wasn't, they were with what they called the adopted home families who
Right.
took them in.
Yeah.
Because on the pay scale that those guys got, there was no way, at $300-400 for a month, you're not going to be able to sit there and pay for room and board and utility bills and everything else.
Yeah.
And especially when you're not even there half of the month to begin with.
Right. Yeah. We end up when I was in Spokane, Washington for short season A-ball, we had host families there just to help out with the funds and stuff like that. And then as you start to go up more and more, obviously you make a little bit more money, but low A, we had 3 or 4 of us in an apartment together. Double A was 2 of us in an apartment together. And then, by then I was married and had my own apartment and stuff like that. But yeah, it's definitely a struggle going up and down, not knowing if you're going to get sent up, get called down, moving furniture, trying to figure everything out, taking flights across the country to your next city. There's a lot that goes into it that a lot of people don't really think or talk about. So
the moving alone's got to be a nightmare. Because
Yeah.
you got to show up at the game on a certain date. And here's, you got to get the furniture out of your old place and get it to the new in the meantime.
yeah, there's a lot of renting furniture in and out of leases, working out leases with apartment complexes and stuff like that. But for the most part, I didn't run into any trouble. I
So
wouldn't
what you're
change.
saying is you should have watched hockey, talk to the guys in the minor league, ask how they did it. Because I know this for a fact. There's a couple of people in the hockey league up in the north, in that state up north up there. They actually find people and they rent their rooms out. And I know somebody that had a couple of the Alpena, Michigan people up there. They actually kept their rooms and they told the traveling team that they will take on hockey players so they can live in their rooms because of the situations that you guys go through, because they know how difficult it is, and he likes to watch the hockey. Obviously he's a Red Wings fan and they actually got a hockey team inside the town. But yeah, that was actually kind of funny. He said that. I was like thinking the same thing. Do you guys ever come across that? Where you run across people that board up their rooms for you guys, or?
Yeah, not so much. I mean, the host family situation was like, they would take you in, they would cook for you, they would do everything for you. And it obviously made it easier, but at the same time, you're still living in someone else's house. You know, I mean, majority of people I would think would rather pay for their own apartment and, you know, pay that however much, $500, $600 and live on their own and do whatever they want to do freely instead of keeping that $500, $600 living in someone else's house not under their rules because you're an adult, but respecting their home and different things like that.
Colleen says ESPN aired Soapbox Derby from Paris the other day. So there you go, Suds.
No, I'm just waiting for the opening for the marble racing because I'm ready to fucking snap. They call that sport.
Did you listen to the opening? You have to listen to the guy talk.
No, I'm not doing
He's
it.
telling you the colors and what the bets are.
Fuck that.
Telling you the odds and everything. It's hilarious.
The odds of me watching that show is I'll take those odds.
That was the highest.
You'll pay attention.
Suds, that was the highest rated show on the Ocho for last week.
And there's more than one, just to say.
Listen, to everybody who's watching right now, find something else to do. Seriously.
Wow.
If that is your go-to marble racing, please, for the love of God, go to church. They're opening up. No, they are. They're opening up. Go to church.
They are now, but did you see they go on
marble racing? If you're listen, take the chance, catch the corona.
Wow.
If your option is the corona, marble racing, take the corona.
Oh.
All right. Okay.
Moving on.
Moving right along.
There it is. First one of the night.
All right. I got one more, and then I'll let somebody else talk. Just your gut reaction. Are they playing baseball this summer?
Yeah, but I don't know how many games. I want to say 50 to 60 games, but I think they will figure out a way to make it happen.
Too much money involved.
Yeah, on both sides.
Yeah.
And I understand both sides too.
Yeah.
No fans in the stands, really. Ownership sees, still paying these guys to play. I mean, guys are going out there risking going to different cities. If it is different cities, risking their health and stuff like that. I mean, I fully understand both sides. But if there is going to be a season, they need to be paid for it.
Do you think the attitude of the negotiations would change if there was more profit sharing between the teams?
Yeah, I do. But like I said, I don't see that happening. I know, you hear the updates, whether it's weekly or almost every other day now, and it doesn't seem like anything's making progress, or they're either getting further apart rather than getting closer to it. But I do think at some point there will be, baseball played.
Can you give us a little insight on, like, with the situation, when you're really waiting, you've getting that call up and everything, are you working more with, kind of pull back the curtain, are you working with agents, or are you working with some sort of front office? How that works is for working with the front office on what your pay scale should be or is. Can you pull back the curtain a little and share a little of that?
Yeah, I mean, until you reach arbitration, we'll take the league minimum. It'll go up a little bit each year based on how many games you have in the big leagues in your league. Once you reach arbitration, I think you have team control for, I want to say, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, 3 years, close to 3 years, and then you can kind of go through the arbitration process, and that kind of works itself out, usually between teams and agents, owners and agents, work on finding that fair deal. And usually not too many guys go to an arbitrator to have it figured out, unless you're like one of those big name guys, Arenado or Mookie or some guys like that deserve the money or think they deserve the money that they're not being offered.
I was looking at the contract or the offer that the owners just made, and you notice, does it look like that was even an uptake on the last offer? It looked almost like a lateral move, if at all.
Yeah, that's from what I read, and I don't know if this was true or not. And what I heard as well was they almost wanted to sign a release waiver too. So if they do get sick, MLB is not responsible. And I know if that is part of it, there's no way that's going to happen. So I think that was the latest thing I heard. I don't know how true that is. But yeah, like you said, I feel like it did take a step back if that was the case.
Does they have something to do with if they do not hold playoffs, if there's no playoffs, then the players would actually lose even more money?
Yeah, I believe that too. I mean, I don't know how it would work with playoff shares this year with a shortened season. I mean, obviously as a team, you get a different share the further you go on. But yeah, I would assume you'd lose out on money too if there's no playoffs. Yeah.
I'm doing a running clicker on how many questions I've asked, by the way.
Yeah, I think you're up to 6.
Nah, I'm all way past that.
Oh, Ryan, I got a question for you though. That if you were still playing, would you be okay with, I guess the strike or whatever you want to call it, the COVID medicine we got going on here, or would you sign and say I want to play to get everything going for my fans?
That's a good question, and I understand both sides of it too. Obviously, you want to play, but at the same time, you're going out there and risking it. You want to be if it is prorated, based on your salary that year per game. That's how
I always thought of it. I would say if you made 162 million, just round it off. Every game you played, you only got paid $1 million. That's how I always looked at it. And obviously I know that's not true. It's all based off of different performances and stuff like that. But I mean, Would you be okay with that? I mean, what percentage would you think would be okay for you?
Yeah, I mean that example right there makes the most sense to me. Obviously, I think the thing I saw was like if you're making $1 million, you end up making 400,000, or if you're making $5 million, you end up making 2.2 or something like that. And the more you make, obviously, a little bit more of a cut comes out. But at the same time, you worked your ass off your whole life to make that money. You should be owed, pretty much close to all of it.
Akers, you still have you're still up, dude.
On which one?
Your second set.
Oh, okay.
You're on the second set.
Sorry, with Suds firing away, I kind of lost where we're at. One of the questions we're looking at is everyone has their own "what was I thinking" moment. Did you ever have one of those on the field? And how long did the guys razzle you about it?
I'm trying to think. I want to say when I first got called up, I came up as an infielder, and I ended up moving to the outfield maybe a week in AAA before I got called up. I want to say one of my first games in the outfield was in Kansas City, and the outfield was so goddamn big that I felt like I was running for a ball in the gap forever, and I totally whiffed on it. And just from that aspect of it, being a new guy on the team, and for the majority of the guys thought I was an outfielder because I was playing outfield. I caught some goofy looks and some what the hell was that from the veterans and whatnot. But I can't really think of anything else. Obviously the pitching incident I got involved in surprised some people and got some good looks from that. I don't know if that's a good thing, or just pretty much said I was kind of an average horseshit hitter. So
you didn't embarrass yourself.
That is true.
And that's, you know what? When you're on TV, that's all that really matters. You didn't do something stupid.
So when you got that call to get called up to the Texas Rangers, and you got to play your first game against the Houston Astros, what was running through your mind? Tell us how you feel.
Yeah, so I was playing AAA in Round Rock, right outside Austin, and big league club was in Houston. So I only had a short flight. Leading up to the game was more so nerve-wracking than playing in the game. Just the thought process. When you got on the field, it's the same game I've been playing my whole life, but there's 40,000, 50,000 fans in the stands. And that dome was not as loud as it was because of 2014. as it is now. And yeah, I think just leading up to it was more nerve-wracking for me. Once I got out there and got my first hit out of the way, everything kind of played itself out. But
kind of like the anticipation of death is worse than death itself type scenario.
yes.
Coming from the demon dueler himself. That's kind of creepy. Thanks, Doug.
Steven Seagal line. Come on.
Another one of the things that I usually say is, you obviously have said that, baseball in high school, it's been your career to do, and you've actually, basically called it somewhat quits. Have you ever had a backup plan? Because I've always said this to friends, you always got to have a backup plan in case something goes wrong on injuries or something like that. Are you doing your backup plan, or what would your backup plan?
Yeah, for the most part, I went to school for sports management. More so sports facility management was what I was going to get into. I wanted to have my own, facility, whether it was baseball or training. Obviously, where I'm at now, T3 Performance in Avon, is probably the premier training facility in Northeast Ohio right now. If we can add on baseball to that and bring that into this area, because there's not a whole lot. I don't know what's out there by you guys in Sandusky, baseball-wise. Facilities, and there's nothing,
just the sports flex city from Cedar Point. I mean, it's every weekend, but
yeah, that's true. So yeah, I think the time is pretty right for it. If we were to add on to that facility and do some baseball stuff, would be my goal, just to give these kids in the same area that I grew up in, a place to hone in on their skills and be able to work with those kids and help them out as much as my coaches helped me out.
God, I wish. I don't know. You and I are the youngest on this panel here. You're
I was going to say that was a.
I tell you what, though,
that was
growing up,
I feel that was a direct shot right across my mouth, because I'm probably the oldest one here.
Growing up, I mean, I grew up in the Baltimore, Washington, D.C. area down in Maryland, and I grew up with the Cal Ripken era. My grandfather just, drilled in Cal Ripken to me, and that was one of my favorite players, obviously, growing up. And then just because that was one of the most famous players, I had Brady Anderson was my other favorite one.
Okay.
And when I came up here to Ohio, I mean, down in Maryland, we had 20 teams in a rec playing against each other. Coming up here to Ohio, you barely had like 10 facing each other. And I just feel like it's depleting a bit. I mean, would you not think that too? Or, I mean, I know Amherst has been really trying to build it up over the last couple of years. And I wish the towns would get more into it again and go to this travel leagues, because I know travel started back when I was like, I don't know, 2000 to 2002, getting real stronger.
Yeah.
So, I mean.
Yeah, the travel ball era is definitely taken over. And, I mean, you'll see organizations that have 3 or 4 teams at each age group. And, if you're a parent, you want to say, hey, my kid plays for this, or my kid does that, or my kid trains here, or my kid goes there, whatever it is. But, when I was growing up, I played South Amherst rec ball, South Amherst T-ball, South Amherst Pony League.
Oh, sorry. I got a cat trying to jump in my lap here.
And then,
I'm going to leave that one alone. I'm going to let it go.
And it's not fake. I'm doing this show from outside. It's one of the neighborhood cats.
Oh.
It's not even your own pussy. That's all right.
I was waiting.
Listen, he kept on going. I had to do it. He didn't let it go.
I know.
Where's Ryan?
I tried hard. I tried.
I'm sorry, Ryan.
Oh, jeez.
I warned Ryan before we went on air.
Yep, he did.
I was. Listen, I'm friendly fire, man. It doesn't matter who the hell it is. I tried to let it go with Doug. He just kept on going. I got to hit him with it, Can I ask another dumb question? Because I'm full of them.
Michael Johnson was actually asking, this is a little off topic, not really, but what was it like being around Beltran and Elvis Randus?
Being in Texas, I was fortunate enough to be around a lot of very good veteran players. And, I could run through the list, but it's like, those two were our leaders for the most part. They had the most tenure on the team. They had kind of a more older school approach. They kept you in check. They gave you your space and freedom to do stuff. But if you messed up, they would put you in line and tell you this is how we do it here. This is how we're going to do it here. Yeah, I mean, even from guys like Josh Hamilton, Bartolo, Lincecum, I mean, Chu. I mean, you go down the line. There's some Hall of Famers that I played with that will be Hall of Famers. Just very, very lucky, very fortunate to be around those guys and spend some time with them and watch them do their thing on a daily basis too.
Notice how you left one name out, Fielder.
Prince, probably my most favorite teammate ever.
Really?
Yeah, that guy was so easygoing. His boys always in the clubhouse. Always laughing, always in a good mood. Dude was an awesome person to be around.
Who's your favorite ball player? Anybody who was your favorite ball player you could meet?
I want to say, growing up, A-Rod, when he started off in Seattle, was someone I always watched playing. Tulo, when he was with Colorado, when he was coming up as a shortstop, I enjoyed watching play too. Getting to play against both those guys a little bit were probably the two surreal moments that I'm like, I'm standing right here next to these guys at first base, or I'm holding them on at first base, whatnot. But yeah, just definitely, I would say those two for the most part.
So, you played in every position, I believe I saw, except for second and short. What was your favorite spot that you really felt the most comfortable at?
That's I was always an infielder growing up, so moving to first base and putting a bigger glove on just came natural to me. I always played middle infield, so I had a smaller glove on. And I got that big glove at first base, and it just came natural to me. So I would say first came pretty good, and then left field ended up becoming more natural as well, and becoming easier for me.
Coming from my brother, he told me something, and I'd like to know. Baseball players are notorious for practical jokes.
Mm-hmm.
What was the best one that you saw?
I mean, we had some rookie dress ups.
What did you have to do?
What did I have to do?
Uh-huh.
I don't. Oh man, what was I?
Sorry.
I was gonna say we know we got him there.
I was honestly, I was like a German beer waitress or something like that. And they dropped us off. We were playing in Oakland, but we'd stay in San Fran. So there's 12 or 15 of us dressed up like that, and they would drop us off a mile from the hotel, and we would all have to walk through the streets of San Fran to the hotel.
Well, you fit in. You'd be all right. You're okay.
While the bus would follow you and just lay on the horn the whole time. So it was.
You were in Texas, that might have been a problem. But
yeah, unfortunately, they kind of got away from that and not allowed to do any of that fun stuff like that anymore, to respect everyone's privacy and whatever you want to call it.
So you never got hot-footed?
No, never got hot-footed. Nothing like that. No.
Bubble gummed?
On the hat a couple times to people. Yeah, I did it. Myself.
Oh yeah, you got to do it.
Yeah. But yeah.
Take any tires off anybody's cars?
Jeez, buds.
I was
going to take it too far.
No, there was one where they took the guy took the tires off the player's car and hid it around the ballpark, and left little notes giving him clues of where he could find his tires.
Yeah, I was trying to stay out of trouble so that didn't happen to my cars for the most part. But I mean, you'd see stories where rookies would go out and buy, big expensive cars and stuff like that, and people would park them in center field during batting practice, or veterans would take them out there during batting practice, just different things like that, to give them a hard time. But
who did you have to look out for?
Who did I have to look out for?
No, in general, like, hey, watch out for this dude. He's gonna come for you, or he does jokes.
Yeah.
Who was that dude?
Definitely Elvis Andrews, for sure. Was all about it. Obviously he messes with Beltre and and touching his head and stuff like that and pissing him off. But he was definitely the one on the team to watch out for.
All right. Who is this that you almost got?
Willie Calhoun. So he came over from the Dodgers in a bigger trade as a prospect, and one of Texas's outfielders now.
Because that's pretty darn close.
Yeah,
that is really close.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Where his next words out of that guy's mouth is "do that," and I'm gonna whoop your ass. Is it something to that effect?
Looking at me like, what the hell are you? Don't even try it.
There was going to be an ass whooping involved.
Yeah, Sud's good timing because yes, I had that picture ready to cue.
I don't know how I did that, but we'll roll with it.
Yeah.
There was no text, no. I just kind of right in there.
Yeah. Doug, you're up, Doug.
Okay. All right. Well, prior to and after 2013, you were not really known as a home run hitter. You hit maybe 7, 4, 9, somewhere around there. You could hit them, but they weren't too often. In 2013, you busted out 32 of them and made minors. What changed that year, or was that one of those years where it just seemed as big as a beach ball?
Yeah, I think I was just we did some different drills and changed my swing a little bit, my swing plane and some things like that. But I was pretty much locked in. I think that's when things really started to take off. That low A year in Hickory, we had, I think, 13 or 15 out of the 25 guys on the roster ended up playing in the big leagues. So one of the most talented minor league teams of all time. I think we broke home run records and set strikeout records. So we were.
Oh wow! So you're pretty dominant all around.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know if anything necessarily. I don't know if physically I matured then too. I started to hit my peak more so in the weight room, and launching balls became a little bit more effortless, and I had to try as hard.
Because when I was looking at the stats, that's one thing that really just comes right out at you. It's like, wait a minute, how did you go from 7 to 32?
Yeah. Whoever my bat company was that year was sending me, must have been sending me that quality wood, not that horseshit ash. So.
Hey Doug, before you even get up there, I've got another little surprise queued up here.
Oh, maybe something I sent you earlier? Or sent her? Oh, that one.
Top 9. At the plate for Texas, the youngster Ryan Rua as he faces Houston Streets. Ball is
on.
Left field. Going back goes Navarro. Goodbye. First major league home run for Ryan Rua.
Did you get that ball back?
Yeah,
What a moment for Rua. We go bottom 9 of Tully Felice trying to slam the door.
That had been such a big confidence boost for you.
Yeah, I went. I was starting to catch a little bit of heat because I had a bunch of home runs in single A, double A, and triple A, and it took me almost 3 or 4 weeks for my first one in the big leagues. So those veteran guys are kind of giving me a hard time.
Yeah, I know down in Tampa, I forget the kid's name. Back in '99, I was down in Tampa, and the rookie was actually just called up, and he hit his first home run, and the guy who caught it would not give it back.
Really?
I mean, Wade came out there, Jose came out there trying to get that ball, and the dude would not give it back.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of those situations are players will trade bats or sign autographs or give them game memorabilia just to get the ball back.
Yeah, that's what they were saying. Jerseys, signed jerseys, the whole ball club, everything.
What'd you give up? Did you have to give up anything?
No, I think actually it went in Anaheim's bullpen. Whoever grabbed it ended up giving it to their clubhouse guy, and they brought it over after the game.
I was gonna say that must be like a rule in that pitching bullpen. The dude's first home run, we got to give it back to him.
Yeah, probably launched it in the waterfall in Anaheim.
There's that one, and also the second one I sent to you, George. Your CC Sabathia inside the park job.
Yep, hang on. I got it. We weren't there yet. But I've got it. Hang on.
feel like I get like halfway
Funny,
around.
'cause that's a lot of what everybody's asking on the board here.
Yep.
Is the inside the park?
A lot of people are asking for it, and it's like, yep.
I've
Come
seen
on.
2 in my
You think
lifetime. Thanks for
I'm not gonna.
I was watching
disappoint-
this game too that night. Just giving you heads up.
I think I got like halfway around second base, and it felt like I was running underwater.
Yeah, I told you. That's what I said.
I don't know what was going on. I felt like I was moving, but I was like, shit, everything was flying. Arms and legs were flying everywhere, and I was like, all right, here we go. But yeah, definitely cool to do it off CC. Obviously, he was,
Yes.
the man in Cleveland, and will be a Hall of Famer as well. So just another cool moment there.
So when
And
you
to do it
rounded
off the
second,
Yankees too.
Yeah, even better off the Yankees.
Yeah. And you guys end up winning that game, if I'm not mistaken. Josh Hamilton.
Josh Hamilton. Josh Hamilton's home run to win the game 6-5. When you rounded second, were you thinking of going to stop at third, or were you just looking straight at the coach and he was just telling you go?
Yeah, I mean, once I saw it get by Ellsbury, I knew he was coming in. So I figured I'd have a good chance at it because it was hit hard enough. I figured I'd go to the wall.
Yeah, look at those wheels, man. You are cruising.
There's no second chance. Yeah, no doubt about it. As soon as you saw the ball get by Ellsbury, that's it. I'm gone.
Yeah, I don't know if I would have been able to shut it down that fast and stop. So I was like, screw it, I'll just keep going, whether he stops.
Whether I stop or not,
That slide
you
looked like
imagine
it
if
hurt,
you-
though.
Can you imagine if you were tagging home because the third base coach is yelling you to stop
Right.
and you just blew past him? I mean, what would your punishment have been after that?
I don't know if I would have gotten. Actually, I mean, that was a close game, so that run would have been huge.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Was that 1 or 2 outs at that time? I forget.
I don't know. But yeah, I mean, if he was holding me up, I obviously would have stopped for the most part if it was early enough, just because it was 5-4, and if he's holding me up, he knows there's a chance it's gonna be close.
Yeah, you were seriously cruising.
Yeah, you were go booking. That's why I said, were you even
booking.
thinking about third base? Because, like I said,
Screw
my
third.
intention's watching you round the bases. I was like, this dude's going for it. This dude's going for it. He's not stopping.
Yeah, you just saw that extra gear kick in. It's like, oh yeah.
That's like when Tyler did it. I was like, you could see Tyler's about to stop after second base, but you see that third base coach is just wilding that arm. I swear to God, I thought he was going to throw his arm out when he was doing it. And when he reached home plate, it was like a burst of energy, a drilling rush.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even on that clip, when you finally came home, there was one of your teammates just fanning you. It's like,
Oh, yeah.
good job.
Yeah, Elvis, of course.
I was gonna say, was Elvis or Carlos?
I've got one more for you here.
Trip down memory lane. Oh, geez.
Must have been a hot weekday game because there's not many fans there.
And it was a Texas guy. Now, did you get that ball back? That was your first Grand Slam, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I believe.
Yeah.
Usually, the majority of the first, you get the ball back. I'm trying to think.
If you didn't get it back, someone lied to you.
Yeah. Give me a different one and threw a sticker on it.
Now,
That's pretty awesome.
how did did he just you were just comfortable and when you're watching this thing and knowing that, when did you realize it's like, oh man, that was a grand slam? That's pretty awesome.
I'm trying to. I think I was struggling at that time, so just be able to make solid contact was probably a win for me that series.
Even if you make an out, at least it was solid contact.
Yeah, I could live with that. But yeah, definitely another cool moment. Don't really think about it till after the game. Maybe you see, your mentions on Twitter or on Instagram and stuff like that, and people tagging you, and then you watch it a couple times and get on with it. I guess get on to the next game.
How often do you guys go through your opponent's pitchers, their tendencies on what they're going to throw to you?
Analytics is becoming bigger and bigger every year. And I mean, we would have meetings before every series. Obviously, the meetings were less detail oriented as we went on with the AL West pitchers who we saw, once a month, twice a month, whatever it was, we were playing those teams. But If we weren't playing those guys, the starters we went over and the relievers and bullpen guys we went over too were very detail oriented.
So did you know that pitch was coming?
I know Belial liked his slider a lot. And
It was a good guess.
It was a good guess. We can leave it at that. It was a good guess. I guess,
I was
right?
gonna say, they do the weird movie actions, like his shoulders dropping, it's coming down just right there. You see that slow motion happen, and you stick your tongue out, and you're like, gone.
Right. I wish it was like that. But it might be like that for Trout and those guys, but it wasn't like that for me.
No, that's awesome. Andrew Colleen is saying, what are you seriously drinking?
What am I drinking?
Yes.
He's asked 3 times, what are you drinking?
So,
wow. That is one large.
Game of Thrones has their a special limited edition Scotch series. So I bought every single bottle. I'm a big Scotch drinker, and the one I'm drinking right now is the newest one that just came out. It's I don't know if you can see that or not.
Oh, you're on a glare.
Big glare.
Yeah, sorry.
That's all right.
Turn that off.
There you go.
Just for a second. It's basically their newest one. It's called I think it's called the Three-Eyed Raven, but basically it was a pretty cool series. Not to put any plugs or anything in, but it was from the last season. Spoiler alert. It's this one specifically is called the Three-Eyed Raven, but they
Three-Eyed Raven was through the whole TV show, so it didn't matter.
True. But basically, the HBO and Game of Thrones got together and they went to 8 distilleries in Scotland and basically asked them to make a special batch of Scotch for each of the major families in Game of Thrones. So the original one that came out, you can see in the back, these are all the families, like the big families in Game of Thrones. And then the black one is the Night's Watch. And then the gold one, which is the one that I'm drinking right now, was the last one they came out with after the last season, which is the one I'm drinking right now. So pretty good. If you're a Scotch fan, I highly recommend.
Well, what does a bottle like that cost though?
So it was actually interesting. Every one of them was actually very different. They ranged anywhere from like $30 to this one actually was the most expensive. I think it was like 150. So it just depends on what you like, but they're all extremely different. I don't know, not to get into a Scotch conversation, but if you're
change subjects now,
if you're a big Scotch fan,
Game of Thrones,
true. I mean, they range anywhere from like a kind of like more of like a flowery type, like I don't want to say sweet, but kind of almost like a sweet type Scotch to your really smoky, like peat flavored Scotches. So that's one of the reasons why I like it. Love this set was it literally ranged from end to end, depending on the distillery that brewed for the house. So if you're a Scotch fan, highly recommend checking it out. Could get a little expensive, but for me, I think it was worth it. I have tried each one and they were actually really good.
For $150, I bet you're savoring
that. Better be good.
I'll be honest, like this one was 150, but honestly, my favorite one was probably actually one of the cheaper ones. I think it was like maybe one of the $40 bottles was my favorite one out of all of them. So it just depends on, to me, I've always said when you're drinking, doesn't matter how much it costs. What really matters is if you like it or not. So that's the biggest thing.
Very true. Zolt, you're back up, sir.
Good. Switch gears a little bit here.
Yeah.
So today, first round of the MLB draft. Brian, what do you remember about your draft experience?
I had a pretty good idea when I was going to go, either between rounds 10 and 20, and it was 17. So I think we had my wife was over, so my girlfriend at the time, my family, and it was basically back then it was just around the laptop watching the picks kind of come in as they were updated. I think I got a call, from Texas, maybe 2 or 3 picks before they were up, and they let me know, if you're there, we're going to take you. And then from there, my scout from Texas in the area, their area scout of the Midwest, came over a couple days later and went over things, and we signed stuff. And 3 or 4 days later, I was on a plane to Spokane, Washington.
First class?
Definitely not.
Just had to check.
No.
What round do you go to get? What round do you go to get first class?
You gotta be at least first two to even think about it. Yeah.
Third is a no.
Yeah.
So during draft day, lost video again.
No, you keep turning off.
It's doing it on its own. It thinks possessed. What the fuck? All right.
So what's the biggest perk outside of salary in Major League Baseball? What's the biggest perk?
There it goes.
I would say the plane, team plane. We used one of Mark Cuban's Mavericks planes. Travel wherever we went. You know, pretty much each seat was a recliner, huge recliner.
Because they travel with the 6-7 footers, so they have to have big seats.
Right.
There you go. That was the right person to pick.
Yeah. You know, TVs, video games. Whatever you want. If you're going somewhere, you know, stocked with, you know, catered food, unlimited alcohol. So pretty good setup.
There you go. That's right. Let Cuban turn around and wine you and dine you.
I'm sure they pay. I'm sure Texas paid for it.
Oh yeah.
When you're done with baseball, what other do you play? Any other sport? You can call it recreational sport, anything like you go golf or something. Or what's your?
Yeah, no, I'm starting to get into golf just because I've always enjoyed it, but I've never had the time to actually get good or work at it. So I've been trying to golf more. Play basketball in high school too. Not so much basketball anymore with the achy back here and there and bouncing up and down on the hardwood. I don't need any of that shit anymore.
I'll crush that back.
But yeah, so I'll take my chances with my back with golf rather than basketball right now.
That's why I was laughing at George earlier. Tell him to go to bowling. You know, everybody can barely, you know, everybody can play the sport, you know, get 300s and 800s.
Going back to draft day for just one quick second, because my video was screwing up. Sorry. Was there anybody on your, oh, please, God, no, don't draft me list?
No. I mean, whatever team came first.
So the Florida Marlins would have been okay?
Yeah, whatever team came first, you know, was obviously the team that wanted me the most. So that's, you know, where I would be most happy to go.
You know, I hear that there's a lot of players, you know, that just, no, I don't want them. No.
Yeah, no, not so much for me. I was, you know, I grew up in a small town, went to a small college. So whatever team took me, I was good. I was ready to go.
I like that. I like to hear that.
Nice. So speaking of small towns, small colleges, in school and things like that, can you give us some differences, you know, as you were going from high school to college to the MLB, how was your, you know, from a preparation standpoint, from a mentality standpoint, like how did it change from, you know, from one level to the next, as you were going through each level?
Yeah, I think it's anything, even, I mean, you can use the high school example, whether it's freshman, JV, or varsity. You're going to see those changes right away year to year. A lot of it is, you know, you go from high school to college, you're seeing majority of the best players in the Midwest or the best players in your state. You go to, you know, college to the pros, now you're seeing the best players, you know, in the world. And to me, it always pushed me a little bit more because I was always coming from a small town when, you know, the better player on the team. So when I did get around those other kids who were out and about playing in these big tournaments and traveling to play, unlike me, it kind of pushed me and, you know, helped me compete a little bit more to prove myself.
Were you offered any other scholarships besides the small one? Besides small school?
So all the D3 offers were more grades and grants and stuff like that.
Because they don't offer full.
Correct. Yeah.
Who were the D3 schools that were talking to you?
Mount Union, Heidelberg, the typical, you know, Baldwin Wallace, small local.
Old Dominion, Ohio.
Huh?
The Old Dominion, Ohio.
Baldwin Wallace.
Old Dominion of Ohio.
Ohio Dominican.
Yeah. I said it wrong.
Yeah,
he's actually right, but you're.
Am I right or is he right? Am I right?
He's just messing.
I didn't know. My brother went there for a year.
They were actually in our conference when I was at Lake.
That's why he's telling you that. You're actually saying it right. He's messing with you because it's a rival.
That's
nice. That video. I'll be right back, guys.
Ryan, I gotta sneak one quick question in because you said that there were games on the plane, video games and stuff like that. So, are you a gamer yourself? I'm a huge gamer. Just to throw that out there. But are you a huge gamer yourself? And then if you are, what was the most popular game that you guys played on the airplane?
Yeah, I mean, a majority of the guys did play. Obviously, with the different cultures we had on the team, whether it was Latin or American, FIFA was huge, and I think FIFA is an awesome multiplayer game to play.
Nice. Put Suds on mute real quick.
Awesome.
Never mind, you don't need to.
But yeah,
FIFA.
for me now, I always played Call of Duty on online with my buddies growing up, and got into Fortnite a little bit. But with the kids, once they go to bed, shit, I'm tired. I'm going to bed too. So I'm not staying up that late anymore to play. Every once in a while, play some Fortnite with my buddies or stuff like that. But I would say those on the plane, FIFA was the biggest for sure.
It's funny. Everybody said like a lot of the sports players want to play. I've tried it. Believe me, I played it. It's boring.
Yeah,
it's not me.
Yeah.
I'm guessing if you had that atmosphere where everybody's playing it all the time, then you're like, it's a conventional game. I'm gonna play you, I'll beat you, just like in obviously Madden.
Right. Yeah, we have like.
Did you ever play the Major League Baseball? Did you ever play yourself on the game?
A couple times, yeah.
That's got to be fucking cool.
Yeah. That was definitely a pretty cool experience, especially they would come in at spring training and basically the graphics nowadays are unbelievable. So they had everything down from my facial hair that day to the chains I wore, if I was wearing a chain, to an arm sleeve, to a leg guard. There's probably 200 mini cameras surrounding your face a couple inches away that get every single detail. So it's definitely one of those cooler experiences.
I'll bet $1 to a donut there's somewhere in your house there's a picture of that player. Where do you keep it?
I think I got one on my phone, to be honest.
I knew it. Damn right you do. I'd have that shit on screensaver. There it is.
Spandex.
Let me see if I can find it. But no, I have like buddies or kids I'm doing lessons with that'll go back and play with me and send me pictures and stuff like that. So it's definitely.
How many of those games do you have that have you in it?
I actually don't know. I don't own any of them.
You don't own it? Oh shit.
I don't.
Oh dude, you gotta go buy that. Get on eBay.
Yeah.
30 years from now, you're gonna want that.
That's a pretty good point. You guys probably have something going there. I should probably have a copy of that.
Definitely. Go on eBay right now. Get it. Because in 30 years from now, you got kids, man. Your grandkids are going to be like, you did what? And then you stick that shit in the video game. Here, play as grandpa.
Yeah.
But it's going to be different because that system's not going to be around by
system 2. Buy the system.
It's like
you have a system. Put that shit away.
The Atari. You still have the Atari?
I have a
I'm good now.
I have a Sega.
Well,
I have a Sega.
All right, I'll give him the plus on that for having a more updated system.
George, I'm sorry. I took us down a rabbit hole. My bad.
No, you're fine.
I'm always going to rabbit hole.
I was gonna say we're semi-structured. Remember,
True.
We are
semi-structured. Hey, I try to keep the circus tents in order.
Yeah, but when you got the clown, if you got the clown at the top of the screen, you can't keep it in.
The clown over here, yeah. When the clowns start running the show, then I know I have to go grab a few.
Yeah.
I didn't realize we upgraded to semi-structured.
So you guys take your Xbox, whatever, put it in there, buy that video game. You got to have that for your grandkids.
Yeah, you
got to do it.
Yeah, you got a point there. I probably should do that. It's pretty cool.
Ryan, is there?
You probably could sell the U of M helmet and buy one.
Oh, wow.
You probably could get actually that expensive, like a PS4 for the price of a U of M helmet. Maybe that school down south. I don't know if you could get maybe a PS2.
Yeah, we have a couple more disappointing years. Someone's going to end up passing us up for most wins all time, but we still hold it. So we still hang our hats on that a little bit, even though it's been a struggle.
Ryan, is there a sponsor that you have, or have you signed with anybody?
When I was playing?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Rawlings gloves. I had Evo Shield for batting gloves, protective gear, whether it's elbow guard or leg guard. Franklin batting gloves, and then shoes. I had New Balance, so cleats, turfs.
Thank God you didn't say that 4-letter N word.
Well, he does have it on his shirt, so.
I know, but I was. Thank God you didn't say it.
In the Major League Baseball, how many you guys? You see a lot of players have their own bats, but how many did you end up taking home? You have a closet full of Major League Baseball bats in your house?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, definitely tried to collect some for my teammates and different stuff like that too, and get some.
Did you get the sign? Get them the sign?
Memorabilia stuff signed and stuff like that. It's pretty cool.
You got to get that shit.
Suds, put the dollar signs away, dude.
Not dollar signs. He played Major League Baseball. You got to have that stuff. You get to play. You play against people like that. You want their autograph, and you want to post that shit up, put that thing up in your wall.
Indians drafted number 23 overall high school player Tucker, shortstop.
Who was that?
It said shortstop Tucker, drafted by the Indians, number 23 overall out of high school.
Out of high school, wow.
Better get those shortstops because they're not paying Frankie.
That's what I'm saying. Like that was one of my points. Was like you, for an example, if you were still playing. Because I was saying this to George, the people that are in the minors, this is like one of their best times. They got a chance to play. Bring all the minors up, let them play because they really don't have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
Unlike the major leagues, the big top guys, let them show off their guns and all that. Let them see what we're really looking at because these fans here, they don't care who's playing. They just want to watch.
They
sports,
want somebody. Yeah.
They're watching marble racing.
It must be a Detroit thing, obviously. But no,
they got you to watch it, Suds.
No, they didn't. No, they didn't.
To just jump ship and no, I want to play.
Yeah.
If they're going to pay me $500,000,
yeah,
I'm going to go take it.
And they might have talked about that and tried to make something happen. I don't know. Or maybe it's something. I don't know. Maybe it's something.
Because either one way or another, the owners are making out of it. Obviously, if they open the stadium up, they would kind of lose.
Yeah.
Depending on what the ratio number of people they come in. Because the average baseball stadium holds 30 fans?
Yeah,
about 33 to 35, I would say.
All right. So, and then if you do half of that, just 20,000 fans, I see where the loss would be is opening up concession stands and workers. But, if you limit it down to half of your people going in, and in some cases, like you just said, the game where you hit the grand slam, some cases there weren't even that many fans there.
Yeah. How many games besides, I don't know, whoever you want to say, Houston, Boston, LA, New York, those teams are sold out, obviously, but the other, 90% aren't sold out every night.
Yeah. like for Minnesota, that would be almost like, 10,000 fans. That's what we get anyways.
I was going to say the Indians during the week, I remember that the ESPN Cleveland guys would even say, there were only 7,000 people at the park last night. Come on, guys, what's going on? It's like, well, sorry, but nobody has that kind of money anymore to turn around and go down to the ballpark. And,
right.
You're spending $200 for just you and your kid. Yeah. And that's just two. If you take a family of four, you're dropping $400 or $500.
Yeah.
And it's like,
that's why Boston and New York fans love coming to Cleveland because one ticket in New York is a whole weekend here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. People are spending their money on alcohol that has Game of Thrones on it.
Hey, I went and saw the Red Wings play at Boston at the Boston Garden. You guys don't even want to know what I paid to see that game. It was.
Oh my God!
I probably could have bought season tickets for the Wings for that game, but
yeah.
Hate to say it was definitely worth it. Going to games like that, like going to the Garden for the first time, going to Yankee Stadium for the first time, I think would be pretty cool. So, with that being said, not a segue. I know I'm getting ahead, George, a little bit, probably skipping my question. But so Ryan, so speaking of stadiums, what was your favorite MLB stadium that you played in?
Obviously Wrigley and Boston, Fenway and Yankee Stadium are up there for anyone. Just with the history and people that played there before you. But Minnesota, I ended up enjoying a lot. Downtown smaller downtown, beautiful view, beautiful newer stadium. Colorado, in Denver, San Diego, just different places that aren't, I think San Diego and Colorado stood out to me because we're from Ohio and we don't get to see that kind of scenery and stuff like that. And the off the field stuff, San Diego, you're right on the beach. Colorado, you're in the mountains and stuff like that. But each ballpark is, beautiful in its own way for the most part and has its own kind of distinct features that set it apart from everything else. But yeah, I really enjoyed Colorado, San Diego, and Minnesota.
Nice. I'm originally from Michigan, but I moved to the East Coast about 6 years ago. So I've been to Fenway a few times. I've heard mixed reviews from people. Either it's old and run down and they need to redo it, or people really love the history of it. Well, did you ever play at Fenway, and what were your thoughts about?
Yeah, I played there a couple times. Clubhouse is very small, probably one of the smallest clubhouses in baseball for the visitors. But there's so much tradition in that stadium, and it's like when you go there, every fan that's in the stadium is into every single pitch. It's not like some of the other stadiums you go where people are just looking around or walking around, kind of doing whatever. But like if it's a big situation, every fan knows what's going on, or they know the ramifications of what happens if you walk this guy, or who's warming up in the bullpen. Just different things like that make it a little more of a cooler experience.
Sounds like a Wrigley Field scenario too, with it being so old and so short, and everything is like right there.
Yeah, their clubhouse was small as well, but like I said, playing out there and with the ivy wall and different things like that, and the green monster, and things as a sports fan you grow up hearing about, being able to play on those fields is another cool experience.
How crappy is the Oakland A's stadium?
The playing surface isn't as bad as you would think. Obviously, when the football games were going there, it was a little more choppy. But the clubhouse was kind of makeshift. They had to make way and do what they could with it. It's connected to Oracle, was connected to Oracle. I know they have their new arena now. The Warriors do, but it was just more so the surrounding areas, and it just didn't look like it was taken care of like majority of major league stadiums.
All right, let's cut to the chase. Which place was crap to play in?
And leave it to us. Just wing it out there.
I think if it's a general question to every MLB player that's played at Oakland, I think Oakland's at the top of their list. Yeah.
Yeah. See, you're being political. I don't like that shit. I want to know who the fuck sucks.
I said
who sucks.
I said how crappy was it because I've heard the same thing. Is that Oakland
is really
absolute worst. So.
Well, it's like Boston or not, like going off the different sports. There was one, I believe it was basketball, where they painted the visitor locker room pink, or they pipe in music, or they turn the heat up to 120 degrees for a basketball game. I'm just saying. I mean, was there any place going, yeah, you guys are assholes?
No, not so much. I know colleges will do that. I don't know who it was in the Big Ten. It might be Iowa, or someone paints a visiting locker room pink, or someone like that, and does some different things like that.
Might have been Purdue.
It might have been Purdue.
I think it was.
Black and gold, you can't tell the difference.
Yeah. He thought it might have been mistaken. He was in a Pittsburgh locker room.
There you go.
What is your best road story? Being hanging out in the minors. What's your best road story?
Yeah, for me, the minor league travel on the buses and the long bus rides did suck for the most part. But again, being from a small town, I got to see places all over this country I never thought I'd see, whether it was, some place like Boise, Idaho, or out in Arizona or out in California, different things like that, up in Washington, in Spokane, Pacific Northwest. But, just being able to go to those places and know you have a game that night, but still being able to wake up and go walk around and, have lunch with your teammates or go wherever you want, check out the city, do some things, see the nightlife and stuff like that if you wanted to. Just an awesome experience to be able to do, play baseball and check out the country.
Mentioning Idaho, did you ever get to check out the Field of Dreams?
And I did not know.
That's something that there's a 9-year-old sitting over there in the living room that's already said he wanted to do that this year. And
oh yeah,
fortunately, with everything going on, it's like, well, Bryce, it's not going to happen this year.
Yeah, it's tough right now.
Keep fingers crossed, maybe next year. But
yeah,
I told him, I said, well, it's not too bad of a. I said it's about 8.5-hour drive off from Chicago. So I said I could probably swing that in a couple of days.
Yeah.
So I think I heard from a little bird, some of our Ohio fans or Ohio people here in 2015. Your high school retired your number 2, I believe it was, jersey.
Mm-hmm.
How surreal was that? And where does it rank among your career accomplishments? Oh, there you go. Thanks, George.
I've go on, dude. I did my homework, man.
Yeah, definitely an awesome experience. To be from this area, and I'm definitely very, very grateful for the coaches and everyone I had from T-ball to high school to college to get me to the pros and help me get there, because honestly, without them and their knowledge, I probably wouldn't have amounted to what I did amount to. And every little piece of knowledge played a role, I believe, in me getting there. So I'm very thankful for all those coaches from T-ball to college. Being able to have my number retired at my high school is another cool thing. I look forward to my kids being able to go there and seeing that, and being able to hopefully walk by that proudly and different things like that, and be proud of that. But just from a parent standpoint, from a grandparent standpoint, raising me the right way, trying to set a good example, especially the way they raised me, trying to do that with my kids now, especially in the world we live in now, and set that good example is a big focal point for me as a family guy.
It's awesome to hear. Speaking of that, thinking about, I've been in sports for 27, 28 years myself, anywhere from playing to coaching as well. And, thinking about going, and being as successful as you are, what would be the most important advice, for an aspiring young athlete, who maybe wants to make a transition from high school to college, or potentially even thinks that, they have a shot at the big leagues?
Yeah, I think, with the amount of training and different things that come about nowadays, the amount of places, take advantage of those things that are offered to you now. Learn as much as you can now at an earlier age. And I know that's what we're trying to do, where we're working now to help these kids and get them ahead of the curve. So when they get into high school, they don't have to be taught again or retaught in different situations like that. But, when I was in high school, I knew I could play college baseball, and I wanted to play pro baseball, but I knew at that time I wasn't good enough. And I could come out and say it. I was very raw, talent-wise. I had talent. Physically, I wasn't ready for it yet, which is probably the reason I went D2 and stuff like that. Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah, look what I found.
I
Were you 2?
You didn't think I could dig up anything. It's like, yeah, look at what I found.
I think I graduated now as maybe 5'11", 155.
That's 155, dude. I was
right.
My high school, I weighed about 110, and that looks pretty darn close.
I'm telling you. Like I said, physically I wasn't mature. Played a big role in where I went to college. I had to be smart with my decision because I wanted to play right away. Like I said, I didn't want to sit there for 3.5 years and maybe play a little bit my senior year. If my goal was to play in the big leagues or something like that, I knew I had to play right away. And I know a lot of these kids nowadays get wrapped up in D1 or bust. And if you're good enough to play D1, I'm not taking anything away from you. Go play D1 baseball or D1 basketball, football, whatever. But be realistic with yourself too, and set some goals and understand your talent level and different things like that and where you're going. A lot of it is luck. I will say that. I matured in college. shot up a couple inches, put on some weight, found the weight room, to where a lot of these kids in high school and stuff like that now have the advantage of getting in the weight room in different training programs now, to where, I was 5'11", 155, lifting like a football player, like a lineman was our program pretty much. So, be smart about it. Be realistic with yourself is the main thing we tell our kids that we work with at our facility now. If you're not a D1 player, there's nothing wrong with that. Doesn't mean you can't play college baseball still. So just different things along those lines for the most part.
Yeah, I love that philosophy. I mean, you see a lot of kids that want to play or have to play, have that mindset that they have to play in D1 if they want to go, any further than that. And the problem is they get to D1 and they're not a starter or they're not playing. And at that point, like,
Because D1 is the best of the best in a sense, and
well, it's the best. It is the best of the best, but I think what they have this mindset that they have to play D1 if they want to go any further. But if they're not playing, if they're sitting on the bench, even though they're on a D1 team, yet they could be a starter and playing every single game at a D2 or D3 level. It sets them up, I think, to potentially be more successful in the long run. So I love that thought process, Ryan, that, you can be more successful potentially going down that D2, D3 route. And I mean, especially with the way that, college sports are setting up now, and I think moving into the future, I mean, who knows where they'll be at in a year or two with the whole transfer portal thing and all of the sports. I know they keep going back and forth with it, but I mean, that could even add another layer onto, the successfulness and really, some of those top level talent players going to a D2 or D3 school to start off just to get that playing time, then potentially with the new transfer, philosophy, maybe moving up to a D1. So love that philosophy.
Okay, most of us here all play fantasy football. You into the fantasy football or the fantasy baseball? I mean, were you guys even into that while you were playing?
Yeah, we would do stuff like that. Obviously not baseball. But yeah, fantasy football is always big. I think with anyone in this, if you're 10 to 70 year age range now, try to live that life of being an owner and making those decisions. Who am I starting this week? If I lose this game, I'm out of the playoffs. So am I starting Russell Wilson against Arizona? Am I starting Drew Brees against the Falcons? Just different scenarios like that. As it makes it, fantasy football is one of the best things that I think has come out for, just the average sports fan over the past decade or, 15 years it's been around. Makes you feel like you're a part of it. For me, more so, obviously I like to watch the Browns, but I have these guys on my fantasy teams now. I can tune into other games for more specific reasons. Hopefully Saquon Barkley busts a run and, something like that, rather than if it wasn't around, I don't know if I'd watch the Giants, play Oakland or play Vegas or whoever they're going to play. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
That's a game I would watch all day.
That's our resident Raiders fan down there.
Okay.
So that's a game I'll watch all day, every day, just because it's Raiders.
Gotcha.
So no fantasy baseball though, huh?
In high school and college, yeah. But not while I was playing.
MLB, I think, would frown upon that, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I don't know how they would go about that. I'm sure there's some sort of ramifications that would have to be talked about, or some kind of rules that you'd have to follow. But yeah, never any fantasy baseball or anything like that. Well,
Pete Rose rules.
Yeah.
Well, if it's a free league, I mean, if you're doing just a freebie league, with some teammates, that's a different story. But I mean,
you're not gonna pick a player up and says, "Oh, you know what? I need to lose this week, so I'm in the number 6."
I have this closer on my team, so I'm gonna take one for the team.
Somebody might take an outfielder, in the first round.
Wait a minute, Jordan,
I'd pick myself.
Or a tight end.
Hey, what's this thing you were a free league?
Well, like you said, in Major League Baseball, in the lobby,
Major League.
Even the NFL guys go, "It's free." Wink, wink. We're playing free leagues. Yeah, we have to make sure we clarify that it's a free league.
Free league.
Free to do it. It just costs $100,000 to get.
Yeah. Hey, Dave, I think I also heard Ryan say something about not being in the playoffs or getting eliminated. What is that? I haven't experienced that.
Oh, don't you worry, fancy pants. I'm all for you now, buddy boy. Don't you worry about it.
I say we do a dueling. I say we do a dueling.
It's already been
Aces
proposed.
Yeah,
and live draft on the show.
Oh, we're going to. We're going to.
Yes.
Don't you worry
I'm
about
all in. I'm all in.
Akers, I don't know if I told you, but Leo.
Yeah, you talking about Leo?
He's our new K9 officer here in Vermilion. He'll be joining us on that panel when we do that as well. So got a few more people to join us for that.
Are we staying with 8?
No, we're gonna go to 10.
10? Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna go to 10.
Man, it would have been 8 would have been super teams.
Yeah.
Grow up. Come on, join in.
I'm in enough leagues. I don't need to be. I won't be able to sleep checking up on all my players.
You can't even play Call of Duty, another fantasy team.
Oh, I've got one more video here. We got.
Oh, jeez.
Get that down, and it's one pitch, one out. Rizzo was in the game for the Cubs. There's a swing and a miss, strike 3.
76, not bad. A strikeout.
I took some off that.
Bartolo.
Trying to make everything look the same exact location. Sure.
So how pissed off do you think that batter was that he just got struck out by an outfielder?
He's laughing about it.
91.
91. Nice.
You can laugh all you want, but as he's going back to the thing, going, "You motherfucker."
Is that Bartolo? Yeah, that's
Yeah, that was Bartolo giving him the high five sign.
Did you give him the win on that game? Is that why he's giving you the high five?
Yeah, they brought me in to close that one out.
Yeah,
that had to be.
You get 3 batters. You did what?
15-3.
4, 5, 6 pitches.
Yeah, I think it
looked like
7.
Nine pitches, 8 strikes, or something like that.
So where's the DVD of that game in your house? Because you damn well know you got it.
That's on Blu-ray.
That's on Blu-ray. Where do you got it at?
I don't need the DVD. We just pulled up YouTube for it, I guess.
Just like I did.
You got a picture of it somewhere in your house hanging up?
I have the ball from the first strikeout. Yeah.
You damn right you do.
What's the story there? Were they trying to save pitchers for that game?
Yeah, or? Oakland was giving us a tough time that series and put up a bunch of runs. We didn't want to waste any more arms coming up for the next series. So they asked me, and I said, yeah, I pitched my whole life in high school and college, and started and closed. He pretty much told me, don't get out there and hurt yourself. Don't be trying to throw as hard as you can.
Don't throw as hard as you can, but you turn around and tossed a 91. That's pretty good there, but
after that, I wanted to try to throw as hard as I could just to get it was. But I didn't.
Hey man, that's what Babe Ruth did.
Yeah, that guy
did it in reverse. He did it in reverse.
That's because they wanted him for batting.
Doesn't matter. Hey, he hit home runs. He could have been the next Babe Ruth right there. He did it in reverse.
Boggs did the same thing.
Do you know what the odds of being able? That's impressive though. Do you know what the odds of striking out a Major League Baseball player is? I mean, it got to be shit. These dudes they're hitting 300, 250. The fact that you struck people out in Major League Baseball.
But even the best player suds at 400, Ted Williams, you're still getting an out 60% of the time. So your odds are technically.
But they're not getting struck out by outfielders.
Touche.
They're not going 1 for 4 against an outfielder.
I mean, you guys
just struck out Major League Baseball
Suds is actually saying to go in from 90 feet from first base to home plate, and then going from left or center or anything, that's another 200 or 300 feet that you're throwing to home plate. to where you get on the mound, you're 61 feet, you know, and you got to be at dead accuracy. That's impressive to do.
He's
It's
dead
not
on,
easy.
dude. That's just the fucking mountain right there.
I haven't been at the major league level, but like I said, I've done it before. I tell you what, I ain't no pitcher. I played every position.
How often do we see? How often do we see people getting up on that mound and burying shit in the dirt? You know, 10 feet away from the plate.
I mean, we can bury birds all day.
You know, I mean, dude, you struck out a Major League Baseball player in a game that meant something. I mean, that's awesome. That's fucking incredible.
Doug, help me out here. Isn't it the Cubs outfielder who also turned around and did that several times?
Rizzo's been on the mound a couple of times.
Yeah.
No, Anthony Rizzo's been on the mound.
Not Rizzo. Go back further.
Further.
In that game, did you allow a hit?
Oh,
no, he did not.
You threw a no-hitter? Good enough.
Cubs.
I got your back, man.
Appreciate that.
So obviously, baseball is your sport, and it sounds like you're a jack of all trades. Was there any other sport that, like, if Major League Baseball or baseball in general wasn't your sport, what was your backup plan?
I was actually very, very talented at basketball. Was going to play basketball and baseball at Lake Erie, but I was too small. Was realistic with myself, and was like, you know, I'll play baseball. I enjoyed basketball a lot, though. It was actually, I think, I enjoyed playing high school basketball more than I enjoyed playing high school baseball.
Really?
That baseball shit's boring.
You're killing me, Suds. You're killing me.
It is, though. Admit it. You're standing out the outfield sometimes going, fuck, there ain't nobody going to hit this damn ball out here. There was high school games where you knew that they weren't going to hit it to you.
Well, and then they do, and you're fucking ass.
Yeah, well, that happens too, but you sit out there looking up at the stars.
You're 6'2", and you were the shortest one on the basketball court?
In high school, yeah, I was probably 5'10" or 5'11" when I graduated, yeah.
Gentlemen, Ricky Keelis has also just jumped in. How you doing, Ricky?
Hey, Ricky.
You grew 3 inches, wow. Not at that high school.
But you need that as a drop.
You do grow when you get out of high school, just to let you know.
What's that?
You do still grow.
No, not my family. We hit 13. Listen, my brother hit my brother's hits. We were 6'1", 6'3", and 6'8" by the time we were 13. All of us.
So you just maxed it all out early.
Yep. Ain't nothing like a 13-year-old trying to shop for size 17 shoes.
You just got to call Shaq.
I would have been so screwed.
My middle brother has a size 13 extra wide shoe. He hasn't been able to buy a shoe at a store since he was like 10.
And he's watching too, by the way. Say hello.
Hi, Joshua. My bad. Sorry, Bear.
Well, I thought I'd let you know now.
I'm gonna get my ass kicked for that.
Oh yeah, he's been on since almost the start of the show.
My middle brother looks just like me, but he outweighs me by 130 pounds.
Is he the 6'8" and you're the 6'1"?
No, he's 6'3" and 350. And the other one's 6'8" and about 240. I am not.
Ryan, as I know, of course, because you are working with Bryce as his hitting coach at T3. What is your approach with the younger kids who are, you know, how exactly do you know how to adjust your knowledge to work with each of these kids at their levels? Like I've watched you, like even today, you know, you had Bryce earlier on in the day, you had who looked like a high schooler to college guy in this afternoon. I mean, you're doing multiple lessons in a whole afternoon. How do you know, how do you set your mindset up before you approach each lesson? Because of course it's scheduled, so you know who's coming in.
Right. You know, once you get 1 or 2 lessons with a kid, you kind of understand their personality and stuff like that. And for me, it doesn't always have to be, let's talk hitting. I like to get to know the guys and, different things like that, and want to make it fun for them at the same time. Because if they have a bad experience, then they're not coming back. If they're not coming back, they're not having fun. They don't want to play the game in general. So even if they do have a bad lesson, it's still, trying to find something positive to give them something to go home on, and not have them going home thinking, well, shit, I just embarrassed myself in front of, that coach or former major league player. I'm not good enough for him. I don't want to go back and try to do that again. So I think, the positivity and always trying to stay, stay real life scenarios with these kids, whether it's, Bryce's age or, the other kid was the number 1 player in the state of Ohio who might get drafted tomorrow. So, I enjoy working with all ages. Obviously the knowledge you give differs on the person and their age and their abilities too. But like I said, just trying to help as much as I can and give as much knowledge to these kids in my area as I can. And if it turns into something bigger down the road, then good. But I'm enjoying what I'm doing and trying to help these guys out for the most part.
Can you tell us a little bit more on how you got involved with T3, how that came about?
Yeah. So in my off seasons when I was playing, I always trained there 4 or 5 times a week in the winters. So I got to know the staff very well, and the staff is somewhat smaller for a bigger facility. But just the different things of me going to college for sports management and facility management and wanting to do something like that kind of played a role in it too. And I got to know the ownership and different things like that. And it was just a really smooth transition for me, honestly. Something I loved, the training aspect of it and helping kids train and helping kids get better at baseball. It transitioned really smoothly for me.
With that also, for how well you adjust with each person that you come across, do you look at yourself at possibly going into, say, for example, like Andrew Saylor had even moved on and gone into minor league coaching and has worked his way up? Is that something that something that you may have thought about as well?
Yeah, it's definitely been in the back of my mind. If the situation presented itself, obviously I'd like to stay close to the family. So if the kids are a little bit older, it might be a different situation. Or like if the situation presented itself where I was in a good position to move up quick through an organization, coaching wise, or whatever it was, hitting coach, outfield, bench coach, whatever. If it was the right situation and scenario, it was something I definitely look into.
Who's the one person that you still keep in close contact with that you might talk to every week or so, or every couple of weeks?
Like player or?
Yes.
Guys that I came up through the organization with, whether it's, I'm trying to think, Joey Gallo. I know the Indians have Delano DeShields right now. We talked to Delano a lot too. I'm trying to think of guys you would.
I know I was actually looking forward to seeing that this year too.
Yeah. I know he's pretty bummed out about that situation too. Yeah, I mean, majority of the guys that I came up through the organization with, like Joey, like Rugnet Odor, and guys like that.
Jay, to answer your question, there was a outfielder Jay from the Cubs who did pitch, John Jay, but he only faced like 5 batters.
All right, then it may be Casey Blake who I'm thinking of too. I also know that Blake also did it with the Dodgers.
Wasn't Blake a third baseman?
Yes.
Well, he also had the pitcher
outfield.
transit.
Well, you said outfield or earlier, but I was
he was third base and outfield.
Oh, I guess you're right, left field, yeah.
And of course, he also had the St. Louis guy, Rick Ankiel, who went from outfield to pitcher.
Yeah.
It looked like they were on the draft. Switching over to the draft real quick. It looked like they're on the 29th pick right now with the Dodgers. Looks like 7 high school people were taken, high school kids who were taken out of the draft. 4 of them being outfielders. Why would the draft the outfielders. I mean, one was a pitcher, a third baseman, and I think one was, I said shortstop earlier. Yeah. Outfielders, really? That's interesting.
Yeah, you figure pitchers or shortstops or maybe even catchers.
Usually, yeah.
You know, the weak is.
Yeah, the first one I think was a top 5. He was an outfielder from Tennessee, Independence in high school and in Tennessee, and that's what I was like looking at, going through the list to see, you know, what might have crossed my mind coming through, and it was just kind of weird. But no, I don't usually get to see a lot of outfielders from high school drafted.
Yeah,
that's not that early, yeah.
Especially in the first, second round, first round.
So tell us in something of, and since you're in the age range of being drafted, did they mostly draft you off of just your position? Did they draft you off of speed?
Yeah, I would say total package. They look speed, arm strength, what type of hitter you are, whether you're gap to gap, power, good contact. You know, and those scouts do their jobs. I mean, they were coming to these, you know, crappy cold weather days and on the lake watching me play and stuff like that to, you know, get the right assessments of me and make sure they weren't wrong if they were to choose me later in a couple months. They did their homework for sure.
Do you always know when scouts are there? Are you told beforehand, or is it?
For the most part, they would contact my college coach and he would let me know. But yeah, they weren't. I mean, if at Lake Erie, if your parent wasn't there and it was someone else, is either some guy walking around town and probably had too many to drink, or, you know, it was a scout or someone like that.
Or both.
So it was Suds.
Or both.
Suds.
Oh, come on. Who did you think it was going to be?
What's your favorite baseball movie?
My favorite baseball movie? Sandlot. This is what I grew up on.
I thought it was going to be Major League.
Just assume because it's a
Cleveland guy.
The movie wasn't even filmed in
he's
Cleveland except for 3 scenes.
Listen, George.
3?
Ohio
always
people are
remember
such
in Major
homers.
League, they never made it to the World Series either.
So it's realistic.
Well, actually, they did at least make it to the World Series in real life.
Guys, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but the kids got to get ready for bed.
Nope, I was going to say we're actually right at our point for a commercial break ourselves. I want to say thank you very much for allowing us, you know, your time. We really do appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed hanging out with us. Thank you very much for doing that.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Grua.
Yep, I appreciate you guys reaching out, and always good to talk sports, whether it's baseball or not, with a bunch of guys who love sports in general. So I really enjoyed it as well.
I enjoyed it also. Thank you. And
Please
I'm pretty sure I'll see you again.
Please join us again at some point in time, because some of these people have bad thoughts in their heads about Ohio teams.
Okay. All right.
Join us and set them straight.
I'll see what I can do.
Thank you.
All right.
Go Blue.
All right, guys. Go Blue.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, man.
Thanks, Ryan.
Oh.
Go Blue.
I thought Ohio people weren't allowed to be U of M fans. I thought that was part of the sign that said they had to sign
that's
that.
funny. So we'll sit here and think of this. Zoltz, where are you at? What city you live in?
Macomb. I'm 20 miles north of Detroit.
North of Detroit. Yeah. Where are you at, Suds?
I'm not gonna say.
He's
No,
are you on the Lansing side?
No.
Oh.
There's a different reason, and you can contact George.
Yeah, he's only 16 miles north of Detroit.
Okay.
I
usually say because
and Doug's,
the funny thing about Michigan is you're around the Detroit area is blue.
Doug's in there.
Everything else is green.
And I'm right smack in the middle.
Yeah, Doug's right smack dab in the middle. All right,
I'm green all the way.
We're gonna jump on our commercials right now. We'll take a little break, and I'll also throw up the trivia question, which nobody has guessed who that boxer is yet. Still looking on the t-shirt.
Really?
That bad boy, yeah. So I'll turn around and I'll play that up. Everybody else, you turn around and take a break.
Take your phone with you.
Take your phone with you. Jesus. didn't have it ready to go. Dang it. Come on.
Detroit Auto Parts is a proud sponsor of this station. Save 10% off your order when you mention Redline Radio, serving 2 locations in Cleveland. The East Side, 480 East 200th Street. Phone number is 216-531-7373. And the West Side, 4941 Pearl Road. Phone number 216-398-7373. It is the home of the Detroit Auto Parts Studio. Helping Hands Moving Services. Phone numbers 216-682-6955. Ask for Dave or Jen and mention Redline Radio for 10% off your moving needs. Cater Printing for your custom screen print, embroidery, and promotional item needs. Located at 9925 Royalton Road, Unit D, in North Royalton, Ohio. You can reach Amy at 440-668-1579 or check them out online, caterprinting.com. Make sure that you mention you heard it on Redline Radio. K&M Towing, 13011 Bel Air Road in Cleveland, Ohio. Phone numbers 216-252-2229. Tell James and Tom you heard about them on Red Line Radio. Looking for that NASCAR diecast? Pit Road Diecast has a large selection available. Call Bill at 216-355-2347. Mention Redline Radio and get $5 off your purchase. Lubrication Supply, located in Norwalk, Ohio. In the field or on the track, let us put you in the winner's circle. Contact Kevin or Jim at 330-813-2305. Wiggins Construction and Home Improvement. Bathrooms, kitchens, windows, doors, siding, roofing, and much more. Contact William Wiggins Jr. at 440-731-4654 or send him an email, wwiggins24@gmail.com. Tell him Redline Radio sent you.
What's the question?
Darn it, didn't get over there fast enough to stop that or rerun it again. It's like, no, I didn't want to go through another round of Jeopardy. Thank you. Of course, the brass monkey who I need isn't available. Really?
You gave him a time limit.
Yeah. It's like, it's not that hard. It really isn't.
It's like the office meeting when everyone, has a 5-minute break and you tell everyone to be back by 10:10 and it's 10:11.
Mary Clark says, I'm from Toledo, Ohio, but I'm a U of M fan.
That's because it's a U of M area.
You know what's crazy is if you look at the actual rosters over the years of Michigan and Ohio State teams, half their rosters are from the other state. Half the guys that play at Ohio State are from Michigan. Half the guys from Michigan played high school in Ohio.
Very true. Money, no money.
It's funny he turns his camera off.
Well, I turn my camera off because when I
He doesn't
stand
wanna-
up, there's literally a crack shot right there.
Yeah,
We gave
I want you guys to see it.
he's being polite, you know.
That or he has he's like Bradshaw with no pants on.
Oh, jeez.
I mean, more than happy to stand up, but the thing is, like I
No,
said, you'll be
that's
looking
okay.
at my crotch, okay?
Don't be 7 foot tall. You don't have that problem.
Oh Lord, Doug, I shot you over the Cardinals article.
Yes, I kind of glanced over that a little bit.
Okay, can you
All right, let me pull it
go
up first.
a little
Hold
bit
on.
more in depth on? I was like, okay, this is really annoying because this is where you want. I hate to borrow Kareem Davis's line here from What's Your Opinion on Redline Radio every Monday from 7 to 9, by the way.
Nice
But this is shut the fuck up. The St. Louis Cardinals owner says baseball's not profitable.
To a certain extent, I actually agree with him.
He's an owner, right?
Well, he is an owner.
He has TV rights, right? Yes, they have TV rights. So yes, he's making money the minute the TV station is tuned into that baseball game, even for that microsecond. It counts as a viewership. Kind of like everybody watching us. If they watch us for about 5 seconds, hey, guess what? It still counts as a view.
I know, and I know it counts as a viewership.
Oh, by the way,
sorry, George. I gotta hold the phone.
We got a word coming in here.
I saw that too. Breaking news.
We got breaking news. Mr. Ryan Burge comes on and says, "Word up, everybody! F.U. Akers."
F.U. Akers.
Oh, okay.
Hey.
And a special happy birthday to Mr. Burge as well.
Burge, yeah. Yep. Happy birthday.
Hey, now go back to work.
No,
wait for it. Wait for it. There will be another F.U. Akers coming in.
The way I look at it is, MLB as a whole, not just the individual team like the Yankees or Boston or even St. Louis Cardinals in this particular aspect. Baseball as a whole generally doesn't make as much money as you think because you have those smaller market teams like Florida, Tampa Bay, similar situations that, when you add that to the mix, it's not really balancing it out. So
F.U. Akers in all caps.
Yes.
And Chaz says, I agree with Ryan. So, hey, it's a double.
But you also have to look at, how big is that individual team's payroll? Yeah, they might be bringing in $1.5 billion on a TV contract, for instance. But if
damn, someone smacked that pussy.
I know, right? But if 60 or 70% is going right back out for players. I know.
It was 3 times.
If it's 60 70% going right back out to the player's salary, they're not making that much.
Sorry.
I call bullshit. For St. Louis, give me a break. The dude's making money hand over fist.
He might be, but again, look at
that was one of the
markets.
dumbest things that an owner could possibly say. I don't make that much money.
For that particular owner, you're correct. But if the Florida Marlins owner or Tampa Bay owner came out and said that same thing, we wouldn't be having this argument. And that's what you got to look at.
Except when he does his
$32 million is not good enough for you.
Except that the Marlins owner has a roster where he pays 1/10 of the other ones, so the percentage is still totally in his favor. He's still making a shitload of money. It's called bullshit 100%. They're making hand over fist.
Sell your stadium out, and then you don't have to worry about it.
Well, that too, yeah, for that particular team.
Well, maybe they shouldn't have so many fucking Major League Baseball teams in
that
one
goes,
state.
That goes back to the original argument from several years ago. Do we need that many teams? 32 teams, I really don't see that we have the need for.
Well, it goes back to exactly what George was saying. Why there's that many teams has nothing to do with the people that are going to go watch it. It has everything to do with TV ratings. I mean, that's really where the money is. Like, you're talking billions versus, millions from TV or from ticket revenue versus billions from TV and advertising revenue.
Yeah.
That's why there's 32 teams. That's why the NHL is looking to expand. That's why the NBA is looking to expand.
I get it, but realistically, if you really look at baseball, I could see them cutting 6 teams out in total, 3 from each side.
I mean, I don't disagree with you. I think from a talent perspective, 100%. I mean, especially like if you look at like leagues like the NHL, I think the NHL is a perfect poster child of they're looking to expand, but from a talent perspective, honestly, they should be looking to go the other way because, I mean, there's just not that.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say there's just not that top level talent anymore there, but they're never going to do it because the TV contracts. I mean, the amount of money that's there from a TV perspective doesn't matter if you have one fan in the stands or you sell it every single game. I think George, you made this point. Soon 1 second that that game hits the ESPN or TBS or whatever, FSN, whatever they're broadcasting on, that owner gets that money, or that the NHL basically, or the NBA or the NFL, they get that money, and so it's all about the TV contracts. And so it doesn't, the market, I mean, they could care less what market it's in at this point. And there's so many, I hate to say it, but I mean, there's so many billionaires in the country now that want to own a sports team. It's not when it's, or it's not if, it's when basically they become available and how they can buy them. And I mean, now it's not even necessarily the billionaires. It's multi-millionaires getting together, pooling their money together and trying to buy franchises as well. And they're doing it.
Like a player's card, don't you? I mean, an owner's card, don't you?
Oh, exactly. I mean, you look at all what is it? A-Rod pulling his money together with, Jennifer Lopez and I think a few other people just to buy a team. Like, I mean,
they bought part of the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah. Yep.
And so they went in with Jeter.
Lopez, Jeter, one of the Williams sisters.
Yeah.
And Gloria Estefan and several of the other.
And Russell Wilson.
They're all doing it now, which they'll be making money because of what just happened.
And Russell Wilson owns a soccer team, so.
Yeah.
Well, and it's just getting your foot in the door. I mean, once you're in, you're in, and I mean that's really where the money comes in. I mean, they're willing to throw up, hundreds of millions of dollars to buy a franchise or, to get a new franchise, just because of the prospect of the TV revenue that they're going to make and the overall revenue they're going to make in the long term. It's just absolutely insane. I mean, you think about 30, 40 years ago, the Ford family. I mean, they robbed the Detroit Lions with what they bought that franchise for. I mean, absolutely robbed the Detroit Lions, stole them. And I mean, it's not even one of the most expensive NFL franchises, but even the lowest NFL franchise is still worth, billions of dollars or worst case, hundreds of millions of dollars. So, and that's not even including like, the money you're making from TV revenues on a year to year basis. So they could care. I don't want to say they could care less. I mean, obviously there's money in having fans in the seats, but at the end of the day, like really where the big money comes from is the TV revenues. And I think, whether you're in Tampa Bay or New York, it doesn't matter.
Biggest problem is that with baseball is the money differential. When he says he doesn't make that much money, no, he doesn't make as much money as the New York Yankees. He doesn't make as much money as the Cubs.
As the Ricketts family, right?
He misspoke. He should have said, I don't make as much money as the other Major League Baseball teams. That's what he probably should have said instead of saying what he said, because then he becomes, it's an intelligent thing to say versus the more moronic thing he said.
Right.
That he doesn't make enough money.
Yeah, and that goes back to my point of, if the owner for Tampa Bay said the same exact thing, we wouldn't be having this heavy discussion that we are right now. It's because it is who said it, and the market that he owns is the reason why we're having this.
Okay, so here's another question on that, keeping it on the same topic. Did he only say it so that he gets TV time? Because what's it doing right now? We're talking about it.
Well, he said it because there's a battle between him and the players.
And he was given his side of the opinion of the battle. You know, it's just one person's opinion on what's going on.
Well, think about it. Last week we heard from the players made an offer. Then we heard from the players. The owners have made an offer. Now we're hearing from the owners. It's a political ploy.
Yeah, that's all it is.
They didn't accept the owners' offer this time. The owners make a statement. They're putting pressure back on the players. The players will turn around. Yeah, beat that pussy's ass. You gonna keep throwing it out there, dude? Who you got on the screen? I mean, come on, man, leave it alone. You can't expect me to sit here and you put that shit up on the screen. You're gonna have the comments. It's just gonna happen. Anyways, next we'll be hearing a comeback from the players, and shut up, George. And they will present something, and then they'll make their statement, and the owners will turn around and come back with another one. We're going to go back and forth until somebody gives. But they will give because it's all about money.
And remember, we started off by saying, and we discussed this with Brian, the players have now made a toss back to the owners with a season of 89 games. Now, you're talking 89 games with expanded playoffs. You're running pretty damn deep right now. I mean, especially
which goes back to St. Louis Cardinals owner said that we're going to be Christmas shopping in the middle of baseball playoffs,
and it's just not going to be able to happen because all those northern teams, you're not going to have anybody. One, you're not going to have anybody going. You
may not even have a game.
You're not playing in front of fans.
Well, I mean, I think that's the biggest question right there, if you're playing in front of fans or not. I mean, hell, I sat in freaking snow watching the Tigers play a playoff game in November or late October, November, something like that, like a few years ago. So I think if it's a playoffs, deep in the playoffs, if the opportunity is there, I think you're going to have the fans there. But if the fans aren't allowed to go see the games, George, I agree with you 100%. Like, at that point, like, why would a player want to go play in the snow in a northern city when no fans are there? Like,
well, and it's if there's no fans in the stadium, and let's say a southern team is out of the playoffs, why can't they just borrow their stadium, in a warmer weather or an enclosed stadium?
Like I mean, it's what the NHL and the NBA are doing.
I was gonna say, but it's not home field for their fans. So like Cleveland, for
there won't be fans.
There won't be any fans. There won't be any fans. If there's no fans allowed in the stadium, you're going to get the TV rights anyway.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Sorry, I understand now. Okay.
And George, I mean, I think you're. Oh, did we lose? Yeah, we lost George. Oh, there he is.
Wow.
He's back. I was going to say
that was weird.
He's been sitting still for a while.
Pull the Harry Potter.
Staring at the computer.
No, on my screen, you guys were all actually frozen.
You had a power
surge. It was you.
No, I didn't have the power surge at all.
And just
wow, that was.
So what was the last sentence you heard?
Well, Andrew was just talking about the teams up north.
Yeah.
We're like 2 minutes past that.
Yeah, no, like I said, that was extremely spooky. I just sat there and I'm going, okay, wait a minute.
We were talking about how the teams up north that they could use the domes if they had them in the south, and
I was just about to say Minnesota doesn't have the dome anymore.
Oh, that's right.
True.
That's right.
Yeah, remember,
I forgot all about that.
Outside.
That's right.
Yeah.
And the one thing that's interesting about
Viking Dome isn't,
or there's no more.
They're not going to change. They're not going to change where the Vikings play. I mean, that's ridiculous.
No,
they're not going to do that. They're not going to do that. Especially if Minnesota's, let's say, out of it.
They wouldn't be able to.
Yeah.
The stadium doesn't have the curved configuration for home.
Yeah, there's no way.
It'll be just like back in the 1916. It'll just be 200 foot.
No, they can't do
it. You could probably even set it up like for regional. The West Coast could play at Arizona. East Coast could play somewhere in Florida or down south, like maybe Georgia.
You're already not playing in front of fans, so might as well just go back to the spring training fields and play there.
Yeah. I think the
How
biggest thing.
boring would that be?
Well,
Oh my God.
And we'll all watch.
Because
No,
we're
we
dying
won't.
for sports.
No, we
Okay.
won't.
We're
No, we
watching
won't.
marbles.
Think
It
about it. The NFL is in full mid-season in November.
Yeah, but they'll work with the TV stations to make sure there's no crossover. I mean,
Right.
they'll
Right.
guarantee that we'll be watching 12 hours of sports every Saturday and Sunday, which will be
Damn right we
utopia.
will.
Oh, because well, baseball,
Milwaukee has a retractable roof, Ryan says.
baseball
Milwaukee?
and basketball.
Milwaukee? Okay, well, there's your.
I mean, unless you're the
more than
Detroit
six.
Lions, I mean, they're not going to watch that anyways. They're just going to go watch the Tigers.
The Lions are screwed. No one's gonna watch them now.
The interesting thing about baseball, though, is with other sports, like, I mean, they're winter sports. I mean, you think football, you can, I mean, shit, look at Green Bay during the winter. I mean, you can play outside. With baseball, with throwing a ball with the bats and things like that, it's just not a winter sport. So when you start talking about, and I mean, like I said, like I was, Georgie, you might have missed it, but what I was saying was, like, I mean, I've sat in the Tiger Stadium when it's been snowing outside and watched them play. It's not the most ideal situation, but it's probably also, I mean, depending on the type of weather in those northern states, especially, I mean, Minnesota's probably 10 times worse. Milwaukee's probably, 10 times worse in the middle of the winter. You start getting to that point, in December and things like that. And it becomes a question of safety from a baseball perspective with that specific sport. And will they even let them play at that point? So maybe the option of, playing at a neutral stadium in the South does become the only answer at that point, because of a more from a safety perspective versus playing in a neutral site or something like that.
Yeah, because if you continue to play up north in like November and whatnot, a lot of players are probably going to end up getting sick. The COVID season, flu season. You don't want it.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yep.
Suds, there's a question for you on the board here. It says, what is the ideal temperature to watch a soccer game outside?
I can answer that. Thank you. It'd be a cold day in hell. Don't try to fuck with me. Don't try to fuck with me. I'm too quick for all you motherfuckers.
Burrich is definitely quick on the draw there. So that came from Burrich.
That's okay. It took him longer to type it than it took me to answer it.
One of these days we'll have to have Suds rotate his camera just to make sure there's no like Barcelona or Real Madrid flags up on his wall or anything like that.
I tell you what, I actually
they're behind the blind.
Had this happened 3 years ago, I'd actually, honest to God, I can't believe I'm going to say this. I had the national soccer MVP trophy up on my mantle.
I told you.
There's a little bit of soccer in them somewhere.
Both my sisters played for Rochester University, and they're one was a sweeper, the other one was a forward. And my
sweeper. Whoa, Suds, you know more about soccer than you let on.
I told you he does. He's full of. I told you he's BSing.
Full of shit.
I thought there was a wing.
Could you let us know for those?
My sisters were all Americans. Both my sisters were all Americans. The one twin won the MVP during the national championship game, and she was so pissed off at the coach that she tossed her MVP trophy down into the middle of the parking lot. And when we went to pick it up, she refused to take it back. So, being the asshole that I am, I picked it up and put it in the back of my car and waited, I would say, 15 years for her to go, I wish I had my MVP pro. I'm so upset I threw that on the ground. I wish I had that back. I wish I didn't throw it away. And I said, you didn't throw it away. I have it in my house. I had picked it up, put it in and I handed it back to her like 2 days later, 15 years after she threw it to the ground. Huh?
And then
she has it hanging on her wall. I was waiting for her to say she wished she had not done that. And I handed her trophy back 15 years later.
Nice.
So I had it in my house sitting on my mantle for 15 years. She never noticed.
She never noticed.
No,
wow.
I hate that fucking sport more than anything else. And I had a trophy up there. and she never realized it. And it had her name on it. It's just, hey.
You know, Suds was telling people that was his trophy, though. That he was he was a sweeper, all-American sweeper.
I couldn't kick a volleyball straight to save my life. And I say volleyball, I know what I said.
All right, Ryan, we'll see you next time. Make sure you watch it when you get back on.
Bird says he's off and back to work. His break's over.
He was on the shitter.
More than likely, yes.
It's the best time to get work done.
Yeah.
That's my thinking room. Leave me alone.
So
So
you found out Suds is definitely a closet soccer fan.
This is true.
Fuck you.
Well, Andrew called that one.
It's premonition. So Dave, what are your thoughts about the season? What do you think's going to happen?
Or as MLB? What sport are we talking about?
Sorry, you're Zolt. Dave was talking about the owners and things like that, trying to differentiate. But I mean, I guess just the group in general, like with everything that's been going back and forth between the players and the owners. Like, what are your guys' thoughts as far as what do you think's actually going to happen if a season even happens?
Well,
he's going to get something soccer related.
My biggest thing when we were talking about, owners make throw an offer out there and then make some comments about it. Players make an offer and then you hear from them. I was just going to point out, it's like they're not doing that for each other, which is kind of strange to me because an owner makes a comment like that. It's not going to sway the players one bit. We know that. Players make a comment, the owners don't care. So obviously the comments are for us. The comments are for the comments are an attempt to sway public opinion, I would imagine.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm trying to figure out when are they going to realize neither one of them are going to win public opinion at this point.
Yeah, we don't give a shit. Just get the season done.
Yeah.
Well, like right now, I've got 2 dynasty freaking teams that are just sitting there doing nothing. And I told the one league, because the guy's got some ridiculous extra positions of an extra first third base and an extra second shortstop and 5 outfielders and 19 pitchers.
God.
And I said, dude, this is my last year and I'm done. So guess what? If they don't play this year, it doesn't matter. I'm done. I said after this year, I was done. So whoever wants that team, hey, I'm out. But my base league, dynasty league that I'm in, if I got to say, screw baseball, then, hey, it is what it is. And I just don't care because at this point, they don't seem to care what fans think. So why the hell should we care? So I'm pretty much like, hey, guess what? I can go back to just focusing on football. I'm good with that. I have no problem with that. None at all.
Yeah, and not to harp on it too much, but there's going to be a million options out there. They're not going to be the only ones playing. Everybody's out there. So they need to get their act together and they need to get started.
So do you think it's the owners just firing up and just saying, hey, we want to do 40% on your contracts? The players start to agree and they're like, oh no, but they're still pushing that button that they're not going to do it because they feel that they're going to lose money out of this whole situation?
The kicker is when, I'm sorry, but the Lake Erie Crushers are sitting there and their stadium holds just under 6,000 people. Even on a weeknight game, a Wednesday night, middle of the week night, the place is sold out. On the weekends, it's a standing room only. The Indians are sitting there going 6,000 to 7,000 even on a weekend and barely getting 5 to 7 during the week. And I'm not even going to say it's a minor, it's an alternative professional league. That's how they consider it. Yeah. If they get more of those popping up, and there was even supposed to be one up in Pontiac, Michigan a few years ago, but they couldn't get that Summit Place deal done. but they ended up moving over to Ypsilanti instead. Well, guess what? You get a few more teams coming up out of Michigan. There's a few more independent professional teams. People will go see that because, one, they can afford it. Two, it's much better looking baseball than sitting at a major league park for 3 hours, going, God, it's really hot and there's nothing, we're bored out of our minds. When the game moves a lot faster on these independents.
And sometimes you see the craziest stuff when it comes down to those things. I remember, and I'm going to say it, and I hate to even bring this shit up. I remember watching a kid play baseball, and he was standing there. He had this weird glove on his hand. It had 6 fingers. The left-handed batter would come up. He'd put it on his one hand. He'd throw right-handed. The next player come up, right? He'd switch it around, and he'd throw the other hand.
Yeah.
During one game, he kept on switching back and forth. Then he came up against a kid who was a switch hitter. And so he walked up, and he had the glove on his left hand. Well, the kid switched over to the left-handed side. When the guy switched the hand over, the batter switched sides. And they went back and forth, going from one side to the other, and they couldn't throw a pitch. It went on for like 15, 20 minutes, where and they had to make a rule to stop that from happening. The batter had to be inside. Once the batter entered the batter's box, the pitcher couldn't switch hands, and he couldn't switch sides. And he had to do it for at least one pitch.
Correct. And that's what they did for the Oakland A's pitcher. They had to do the same thing. That you have to establish how you are pitching. Are you pitching right or pitching left? They actually started with the pitcher now.
Yeah.
Well, now we lost Akers.
We lose him every time.
I just want to say, Soccer Dad, I appreciate that that feedback, that story that you just gave us. And I also noticed your name change.
Yeah, I have a few trophies in my house. Few soccer trophies.
That picture, was that your son, or?
That's my youngest, or my old. Nice. Excuse me, that's my oldest. That's my oldest son when he played soccer for a minute.
Nice.
Yeah. So, but yeah, my youngest plays
how
football.
You doing? Got a few more new buddies popping in. Terry, how are you? Good to see you. Welcome to my show, or our show. Our show. Akers just said, "Did it just kick me out again?"
Yeah,
I didn't do it. I didn't do it. It must be Burrich. It's got to be Burrich.
That's fuck you, Akers remotely.
Yeah,
it was
giving him the
fuck you.
It's like that little red button that you can press. That
eject. It's an eject button.
Yeah.
Boom.
See ya.
Dave, what you were saying though about like them getting their shit together, like I completely agree. I mean, you think about all the things that are going to be kicking off pretty damn soon.
Yeah.
That they're going to be competing against that they've never had to compete against, and I thought that was an awesome question that you had asked Ryan. But like at the end of the day, like I mean, you're talking about major sports, NBA, and NHL, that are going to be going on, and not only going on, but going on in their playoffs, which is even more like, and I mean, on top of that, like for me, I'm probably maybe the outsider here, but I'm super excited for freaking golf to get back on TV. Like, I mean, the Masters moving, to the end of the year sucks. Like that's probably, obviously it's one of the majors, but it's probably the major. And that's one of the things like, even growing up, I always look forward to watching with my grandpa. And so like, having things like that are going to be going on in the middle of the summer that typically weren't. I mean, hell, the Masters would have already been over by now. So, competing against all those different things, if they don't get their shit together soon, like
they're going to be left by wayside.
No, and the biggest kicker is, and Bryce was so super stoked about it, was the PBA actually already started and it recorded on our DVR. So you can see where this kid is even excited that something is back on TV when he's excited about bowling.
That isn't marble racing.
It's not just the fact. I mean, that's the biggest part of it, is that they will have the competition like they've never had before. But even just the fact that the abstractness of everybody else figured this out.
Why couldn't
you can't?
Yeah. That is a huge black eye to the MLB in itself. You guys had all this time to get something done, and you couldn't. And here's the NBA within 2-3 weeks. They went in, boom, came out. Here's the deal. This is what's going on. Maybe if you think maybe if there was like profit sharing in the MLB, this wouldn't be so bad.
That's what I've been trying to say. If you got people paying players $300 million,
right? Some of these contracts are ridiculous.
Those NBA players have a salary cap. They can't be paid more than X. Where the baseball players have outrageous salaries and they don't have profit sharing. So if the coronavirus hits hard in the area, who's got the $300 million contract? What player? Trout?
Harper.
Harper? Where does Harper play?
Philly.
Okay, so if the coronavirus hits Philly hard, and they can't play games in Philadelphia, and the Philadelphia team can't play, but the other teams can, they got to play Harper all that money. They can't survive because they're not sharing with each other. They're not getting Yankee money. They're not getting Red Sox money. They're not getting Chicago Cubs money. They're getting Philadelphia, and they're competing with the NFL at that point in time. And they cannot afford, without profit sharing, to pay these players these huge amounts of money, where the NBA their salaries are set. It's profit sharing not only with the owners but with the players. The players get 49% of the profits. The NBA gets 51%, and it's all about profit sharing. And there's a cap, so it's a group effort on the NBA part, where in Major League Baseball, it's all separate. And when you're separate and you're trying to compete with each other, you're not going to be able to do it. So it's either they got to get them, the players have to drop what they want all the way down to where there's a even playing field for each one of the owners' teams, because you're trying to negotiate as a group, and the Major League Baseball owners are having to do it as individuals, looking out for themselves.
Especially if they look to expand it or whatever, and like these smaller market teams, like you said, they can't compete. There's no way.
I've just come across something here that's coming through my ticker here. A bunch of the NBA players, a small faction, have said that they are concerned about their safety and they're hesitant on the restart.
That's what I brought up at the very beginning.
Hang on. They're now stating that any player who's deciding not to play will be replaced by a replacement player, and any player that becomes either positive for corona or suffer injuries will become ineligible for the rest of the 19 and 20 season. They will not be admitted back. So even if after the 2-week quarantine, if they happen to come across the virus, they will not be allowed back.
Oh, so let's say LeBron James. He gets the
Steph
coronavirus.
Well, Steph's not in, but
like that, he's
any player who comes up testing positive, they're out.
So Anthony
now,
Davis
how weird and controversial could this be, where a false test comes back? Oh, it's positive. Well, guess what? You're done. But guess what? Then the test comes back. No, that was the wrong person. It was somebody else. So that's very interesting that is coming into play, that it says the players who are replaced become ineligible for the rest of the 2019-2020 season.
Watch some schmuck walk up to LeBron James and lick him on the chin.
Wow.
You could take a whole franchise off that way.
Yeah.
Wow.
This happened the same time last time. and then it wouldn't let me log back in, so I just shut the whole computer back down and restart it and log back in.
Told you it was Burrich remotely kicked you
You're
out.
probably right. Damn you, Birch.
But if they're fighting for a rebound,
Oh, yeah, that's nasty. Oh, that was gross, Doug.
All right, so rundown. What I miss?
it's going to be disgusting as always.
The NBA saying that players who were deciding against playing, and it says here that any players who test positive for the COVID-19 or suffer injuries, those players who are replaced become ineligible to finish the rest of the 2019-2020 season.
Which it should be.
That includes playoffs.
It's going to be such a short
Don't
season.
get hurt.
Yeah.
Don't get COVID-19.
That's not something you can
I mean,
stop.
HIV's though is good though. You can still play with HIV. I mean, there's a couple of players that done that.
Well, we're just saying that has come into play, as noted into play now. I mean, Suds did bring up about the fact about the replacement players. I just happened to see this come across the ticker going, whoa, hello, wait a minute.
Colleen makes a good point too. How many of them will come up false test just because of this?
Right.
How reliable is going to be those tests? Because you know those people in the back are getting paid like $50,000-$60,000. Hey, put this person's name on that test.
Or not have that person's name put on the test.
You'd be like Lance Stevens blowing on LeBron's face again.
Yeah, how well would that go over?
Yeah, Mike Johnson just threw that up there. Nice. Good call, Mike. Perfect timing for that one.
HIV not the same.
That was still gross.
Yeah, you probably went a little too far on the HIV. That's coming from me. So
Doesn't one of your fantasy guys have that?
No.
No, his fantasy guys are just
His are
all
former convicts,
right?
They're duds and not studs.
Addicts.
Anybody who's had a real long jail rep.
No,
Yes.
they could be severe partiers too. Like you could be major party.
Like a
And
Gronkowski.
Donnie Manziel would be one person who'd be on, but he doesn't qualify since he's not really a football player.
Wow.
But he is didn't he hit his girlfriend or choke her out or something?
No charges filed.
Wow.
Oh, that's right. I use your gas. I can't follow this paperwork.
Wow.
Segue. Since you brought up the one sport that we haven't talked about yet today, NFL. I believe it was Tom Pelissero from the NFL Network today, tweeted out that discussions are being had about eliminating
some
games.
Yeah.
And it's not to shorten anything up. It's literally to give everybody a longer ramp-up time for the season.
I've always said preseason games were jokes anyways.
Absolutely.
Because the fact of you already know you're starting. You have your 40-man roster already. You're just trying to fill it to what? 52? 54? 53. All right, 53. I mean,
I don't think
you
all.
only need 2 games. 2 games.
Yeah.
Let the third stringers fight it out to see which ones you're looking for. Allow your starting quarterback and running backs and all that. Get a few reps in. I mean, how many players have we lost in the preseason that were stars over something stupid? Now, we understand it could happen at any football game. But during a preseason game, when the tickets aren't usually the same price as the NFL season, I mean, I guess.
Didn't that sort of
thing
happen?
It has happened, yes.
It happens every year. Yeah.
And the one thing that I happened to discuss with a few guys last weekend, the Cowboys and the Steelers actually will play 5 preseason games because they play the Hall of Fame game. And I thought because
it's going to be a bit excessive.
Yes. Well, and here's the other thing, because generally in the past, that Hall of Fame game has technically led to through the first weekend of the preseason. It is not. And when we went through a month or so ago about the schedule, the whole team schedule, I went through to go back and find all of the preseason games because nobody had the preseason schedule even listed. And it was an annoying task, but I even looked at it and went, how the heck are the Cowboys and Steelers playing 5 preseason games? That's almost impossible. But I went back through to look again and I counted back and I said, that's stupid.
You're right. I've literally never seen that before. I just Googled it and it shows that they have 5 preseason games. I don't even know how that's possible. I've literally never seen that in any preseason ever before.
The algorithm on these scheduling screwed up.
There's got to be
on that game.
there's got to be something wrong there.
Do they go 50-50
and I
on
thought
tickets?
there was too, but there isn't. Like I said, when I saw it, and you got to Google it, I had to do it manually. I even had to look at it 3 times, going through all the different teams' pages and go, how the heck are they doing that? But they are. And I said, that's just stupid.
I'm wondering if there's something wrong on the internet because it shows them playing their very first preseason game against the Steelers. But what I'm looking at right now on their official website, it shows their that's really weird.
Mm-hmm.
It does actually, even on the Dallas Cowboys website, it shows their preseason. They literally have 5 games on the Dallas Cowboys homepage.
Mm-hmm.
I have no clue how that's possible.
Yep.
Did anybody Google why Dallas Cowboys have 5
just
when
you think you can't
seen it all?
You know, the stupid have, flourished during this quarantine.
What was the other team? Was it you said
Pittsburgh
the Steelers too?
Pittsburgh.
Yep.
Yeah, that's who they play in that first game.
Yep.
On August 6th.
Yep.
I'm wondering now if I search the Lions preseason schedule or Cleveland or something like that. Yeah, Lions only have 4. That is insane.
That's under playoffs.
Oh,
that is. Hey, if that's the case, they typically go 4-0. So I mean, we got a million Super Bowls.
Another slash. Yes.
George, that's insane.
Yeah. I've never even heard of that.
Why that would ever happen?
I have not ever seen, even when they had 6 preseason games, you never saw this happen. And like I said, a month ago, when we went through our predictions of how everybody was going to go, I actually went through to see what the preseason was and wrote down the preseason schedule. And I said, wait a minute, am I looking at this right? And I had to look like 3 times just to make sure. And I said, man, that's 5 preseason games. I mean,
no team goes 5 preseason games.
No, they don't. That's why I thought this was very strange that this year they were.
So I'm looking it up right now. Last year it says the Falcons and the Broncos played 5 preseason games while the other 30 teams played 4. I literally do not remember that happening.
Because they played the Hall of Fame game.
Oh, which may not technically, quote unquote, count in the stats in preseason. Or as a preseason game.
Well, no, it's still a preseason game.
Not a preseason, anyways.
It's still a preseason game. That is very strange.
Yeah, 2019 Falcons Broncos will play 5 preseason games. The other 30 teams play 4 each. And
well, maybe whoever plays that Hall of Fame game has 5 preseasons.
Well,
how far back does it really go?
That's what we're saying. I don't even remember like you said, it just went eerily unnoticed.
Collins and VA.
With all the football we all watched, nobody realized that there was 1 or 2 teams that have 5 preseason games.
No,
something's wrong.
Between all of us, and
we all missed that.
Yeah,
hundreds of games.
Yeah, so I'm looking right now. Denver Broncos last year, 2019, they played 5 preseason games. They played the Falcons, the Seahawks, the 49ers, the Rams, and the Cardinals. Never
noticed.
I mean, that just shows how important the preseason is.
If this would have been a regular season screw up, I think everybody would have been pitching a long time ago.
I think
Oh,
they
for
should
sure.
make it mandatory
Thank you,
for certain
Colleen.
franchises to have 5 preseason games, and they need the help. Let Detroit and Cleveland have 5 every year. They're
Natty
desperate.
too.
And what's that
Yeah,
going to be? The Kohler Bowl?
What's it going to be called?
The Kohler Bowl?
Maybe. I got to think about that. Give me a minute. I'll think of something stupid.
Or is it going to be sponsored by Signature? Kohler is the brand for toilets. What was
Bowl.
it?
Let's see here.
It looks
Yeah,
like
I mean,
I think they should play 5. They should play 5
looks
until
like
one of
in
them makes the playoffs
2018.
again.
it looks like it happened in 2018 too with the Bears and the Ravens.
Well, I remember
2017. Who was the game in 2017?
Green Bay actually had to. They basically didn't play the first game of the season because of the field. The Green Bay Packers.
It happened in 2018 too.
We're just slow. That's got to be it.
That Hall
Wow.
of Fame game.
Wait, you talking about the Packers didn't play their first game because of the field?
Yeah.
Wasn't that against Miami?
I don't remember. I just remember they showed up. Everybody was ready to play. They walked the field, and I think Green Bay was the ones who said, "Hell no."
Oh, I was gonna say because I know the Miami game was canceled the one year because of the hurricane, and
No.
for some weirdly reason they both had the same bye week, which was weird. So that's the week they had to play.
This was a preseason game. It was the first preseason game. They went out on the field, and the field was in such horrible shape that they just canceled the game altogether. It was the first preseason game.
Interesting. Because like we all said, because it matters.
Okay.
Yeah.
It looks like this was something that got started in 2018 because I just looked at 2017
And
it
everybody
did
was
not
at 4?
happen in 2017. This is something that started 2018. So they've had it in 2018 and 2019 and this year. So that's 3 seasons. Nobody's really looked to pay attention that 2 teams are playing 5 preseason games.
I think it was the
Surprised all those
Bucs,
teams
wasn't it?
didn't say something. Unless it was.
Why would
worked
they
out in
say
the
something?
contract.
They're collecting the ticket money.
Yeah, Hall of Fame game. They probably get the TV
Hall of-
revenue too.
The Hall of Fame game. Yeah, the Hall of Fame game. Whoever plays in that game gets the shares of the TV revenue. Yeah.
Can we get
The
one
2
more
teams.
game to evaluate talent?
True.
And their players, their starters are going to play any more than than necessary. They're barely going to play in those first.
Well, actually, the
games.
Hall of Fame game, they usually almost play the first half. The starters.
Because it must
But
be.
at the end, they sit them more. They're not going to play them anymore. It comes out to about the same.
It still gives them though time. With all the new rules in the NFL with
Hitting.
practicing, and physical contact and things like that, just gives them one more time to Dave's point to evaluate talent and really understand, especially those 3rd, 4th, 5th string guys you picked up in free agency or that didn't get drafted to evaluate talent. I don't know, Suds, if it was you that said it, but I agree. At the end of the day, you really only need 2 or 3 games to evaluate that talent. Maybe a half a game, one total full-length game to evaluate your starters and just get them in game-ready shape. But, you look at Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, your top players, they don't even play in the preseason. Literally don't play at all.
One year, Tom Brady didn't play for the first 4 games of the season.
Who
And won the Super Bowl.
Who's friends with Colleen? Because boy, they've got it rough. The husband is a Ravens fan. Holy Toledo, that's brutal.
Well, she's a Lions fan, so
the
I can
Lions
see him
played the
winning.
Ravens at M&T Bank Stadium.
I don't have any problems. It's better than being a Browns fan or a Lions fan.
She's the Lions fan.
As long as they're not a state of Pennsylvania fan, I'm okay.
True. I can agree with that.
And going back to the NFL for a half second, in training camp,
I was right.
Has training camp opened up for certain teams, or a
Not-
limited amount, or
The protocols are just being established and are supposed to be completed by the 19th. So next week, it's supposed to be squared up so that everybody can start, even though the players themselves have said, screw it. And they've been going to parks and such and already started their own workouts with their teammates.
I know in New England,
Russell Wilson, if I recall correctly, almost every quarterback has already been in touch with his receivers. They have met at parks, and that is what they have been doing. Is almost every team, every main quarterback has already been working with receivers and running backs. They've already started doing it themselves. They're not waiting.
And didn't Tom Brady get busted for that down in Florida? Meeting up with
Russell Wilson's done it too.
Yeah.
Everybody has been doing it. And the weird thing that I even heard this morning on CBD was that for the new protocols, they have to expand out how the locker room is spaced. And that means putting tents going outside of the building and kind of around the side for almost 90 players, because that's how many they'll start with. So as the players get cut, the tents will come down until they can turn around and get all of these guys to be in the locker room.
Question. Do you know how you have to clear out your locker if you get cut?
Oh my God.
Do you got to take the tent down too?
I'm sure they have help to do that.
Wow. He went there.
Do they get to keep the tent?
Oh. Well, so look at the time, guys.
What?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. What did I totally just missed what.
It's a good thing you missed it.
Do they keep the tent?
Acres.
I'm asking. You know, you get cut from a football team. They say clear out your locker, right? Do you have to take down the tent?
Oh, Lord.
You don't get to rip the locker off the wall.
But Georgia said that when the players get cut, the tents come down. Do the players got to do it themselves? Do they get to keep the tent?
Is it a one-room tent? Is it a camel tent?
Well, I'm just
I
saying.
hope it at least has an NFL symbol on it. That way it'd be cooler.
If I'm an invite, I'm really hoping I'm in a tent close to the building. Because if you're at the far end of the parking lot, you already know.
Oh, damn, where's your tent? Your tent's at the end of the line. You're probably going to be the first to go.
Yep.
Not even going to show up that day.
Yeah.
Son of a bitch.
My truck got flipped over.
You know how they call, like sometimes they call your hotel room to say, hey, bring your iPad and come to the coaches. You ain't going to find me. I'm going to have that tent somewhere. You ain't going to find that tent. I'm moving that shit.
I'm always curious that how much it is these players actually turn their books in. I mean, what if they don't? What's the fine?
Oh, no, they actually, those are all kept on site. Once you have been established into the team, that's when you get your playbooks. You don't get them beforehand.
Unless you're Rob Gronkowski, you get it before you even sign with the team. So
he had
allegedly.
He had that.
There was $100 in that back page. You want to see how far you looked into it?
He had that playbook as soon as Tom Brady signed it.
Oh, I think he had it before then.
As soon as Tom Brady got it, he got it.
Yeah.
Well,
don't tell me that whole shit wasn't planned out.
I may know the inside scoop on that, and I will not
divulge the information.
Yeah, I know.
Hey,
this is not the scoop, so you'll have to cancel this out.
Yeah. I know Sidem and Hoyer have been practicing for weeks
if I
now,
get
too,
to invite certain people on, I need to make sure that I am pleading the fifth on a lot of things. And I will let those specific said individuals divulge things.
If they choose.
If they choose.
Allegedly.
Yes.
Yes.
And on that note,
not that I wouldn't put them on the spot or anything.
Yeah. You put them on the spot?
No, never.
Oh, no, never.
So did you get a tent too?
Yeah.
Say goodnight, Gracie.
Good night, Gracie.
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 All right,
Thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll catch you on the flip side.
All
Hey,
right.
guys.
Night. Peace.
Bye.
Plead the fifth.
Bye, Dave. Later, suds.